We're ready with just different plans. Could go this way, could go that way, could go that way. That's our job, to be ready. We're ready anyway. But we'll find out.
Yeah.
Dying to find out. I hope it comes back. As is really commonly known, there's no decision until after, seriously. It's funny because even people who work on the show thinks that means we're having secret meetings about it. People I work with every day go, yeah, what's really happening? And I'm going, nothing. No meetings, nothing. That's when the decision is. And the decision wouldn't be made by the people we work with at Disney Plus. It would be made by someone in a big office somewhere. So literally nothing happening, no decision. We're ready with just different plans. Could go this way, could go that way, could go that way. That's our job, to be ready. We're ready anyway. But we'll find out.
Yeah.
Dying to find out. I hope it comes back.
And we've got season 2 before all of that to enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's okay. He's ready. He's ready, everybody. Are you ready, though, for Type 40 Live, the live stream Doctor Who magazine show across your view screen on Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook, too, of course, where we track and cover all things Doctor Who and package it up just for you from the way back then to the right here and the right now, all in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans, and companions just like you. Yeah, it's been a really big hoo-ha with the cast and crew of Doctor Who on Dress Code Red for the premiere screening. Huge week of publicity for this new season that starts in just over a week. We've got the clips, the pics, the quotes, lots of nostalgia and plenty of dad jokes all coming up on Type 40 Live. Stay mellow, Dan. Stay mellow. Oh, look at this. Oh, someone's got to take care of all this as well, haven't they? Where am I going to start with all of this? I don't know. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Type 40 Live here on YouTube, Rumble, X, and on Facebook. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. And it's not even started yet. The new season hasn't even started yet, despite what the Radio Times may say. Hello, wherever you are. And whoever you are, we'll get you some comments in a few moments. We'll find out who's here from the jump. There's so much to talk about. It's not all bad news. Although to look at Russell T Davies, you'd think it was. You'd think it was pretty bad news. It's not all bad news, Russell. I don't think he's going to be the one that's pruning his way through the cloister room here. Who's going to help me? How are you with a pair of what do they call them? Secateurs there, Charlotte. How do you go with those? Where is she? There she is.
Anything that requires coordination and strength in my wrists, I'm not very good. So probably terrible.
Oh well, I don't know. Well, you haven't got green fingers then.
No, like as a kid, I was allergic to being outside. Like I was very geeky in that sense. I'd rather be inside, like reading or watching something on the TV.
Even the outdoors here in the cloister room, all the way back in 1980. There, usually the Doctor would be perched on there in his burgundy sort of a coat and his scarf, trying to avoid actually doing any preening. He'd sort of pull at the odd vine here and there in Legopolis, but that was about as far as it went. He was even lazier in the garden than me.
Yeah, but at that point, Tom was in his recluse sort of phase of his Doctor, wasn't he?
He was. How's your week been?
Good. There's been a Nintendo announcement, a big one, and if people know me, I like my games. There's been Wicked news for Part 2 start to float around, so it's been a good week for me, actually.
until it came to the Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah, actually, that was the not right stuff, if I'm being honest.
And then this Joker asks you if you'll help doing the garden. I don't know.
Well, Dan, you've asked me more weird stuff in the past.
I suppose. I
The
suppose.
garden isn't really that out there.
I don't suppose it is. I'm going to keep on asking though, because I think if you can't help me, I think that Simon Horton he'll probably be able to help me sort this place out.
Bear with.
If he can
Sorry, sorry. I'm having some technical hitches this evening, so I'm not
Aren't we
sure
all?
as I am the right person to be asking to help with gardening.
No.
You know, I absolutely love the cloister room. I remember just falling in love with this when this appeared in Legopolis. I don't know what it was about it. I like it when they explore the inner workings and the unseen rooms of the TARDIS. And this, I just love the mix of the old, the crumbling ruins and the roundels in the background. I just love the cloister room. There's something very, very magical, I think, about the cloister room. Don't you?
Even the tiled floors, they should have carried that through to the actual set, I think. Once I'd seen this room, I wanted sort of all of the TARDIS to be a bit more, I don't know, just to be a bit more texture.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose in a way, they're kind of, this has kind of got echoes of the McGann TARDIS in it, hasn't it? I guess it's a little bit, you can see maybe they had the influence of the cloister room when they were designing the McGann TARDIS.
I think they actually called it the cloister room in the TV movie. I can't quite remember. I know who will know. Gary Akers, the retro doc, he'll remember. Gary, is that true? Was that the cloister room as well?
That is the cloister room. And you know, the more you put things together, the more they keep falling apart. And that's the essence of the second law of thermodynamics. And I've never heard a truer word spoken. So, you know, this is one of the most quotable stories for me, I think, in all of classic Who. It's just tremendous.
Yeah, I don't know about the window boxes, though. I mean, how about all that? I mean, to let it get into this sort of state, I'll be honest with you, my patio looks a lot like this right now. In fact, it's considerably worse. So this is by way of shaming myself here, so that people who are watching on X, YouTube, Facebook, and on Rumble can sort of get in the comments and give me a hard time. Sort out your patio, Adley. Sort it all out. Yeah, all the leaves need sweeping up, and the tendrils need, well, tending, really. One more person to bring on board. I'm happy to say that he's back after a couple of weeks away, traveling the globe this time, not time zones. We've got our mate Matt Pott back on the show. Hello, Matt.
Hello. I do love that TARDIS, I tell you. I do. It looks lived in. It's great. It's like you can actually see that the TARDIS is old, and that, you know, there are so many rooms that not the Doctor can go around and you know, feather dust to them all, and, you know, water the plants and everything.
And I think what it is, you can, especially the classic Doctors, I can see more like just sitting there and reading or having a think. Like you can picture what Doctor
feeding the pigeons.
Like.
I could see William Hartnell feeding the pigeons.
Yes, again, like you can almost create little scenes in your head with different classic Doctors, which is what I like about that scene as well.
Yeah, and there is some benches like that in my local park, but the reason why they don't look quite right in this is no bird shit on them. That's what it is.
I mean,
they've actually removed all those sort of benches here because a lot of rather overweight people were getting on the edges of them and falling. They were actually breaking them off. So yeah.
You know, when Audred came on board, the Doctor should have just given him a rake and a broom and said, "Okay, go take care of it. I'll see you later." You know, and then send Audred into the bowels of the TARDIS to clean the whole thing up.
Let's get it all sorted out. Let us know how you're finding it now. Spring has sprung. Have you got out in the garden yet? And if not, why not? Are you even lazier than I am when it comes to all of this stuff? But we've got some good news, though. Gary, I don't know if you'd seen the poll from the other day for the classic series. Came out quite well, didn't it? Of this YouGov poll that was a surprise present from YouGov to the Doctor Who fandom for the 20th anniversary of New Doctor Who. bit of weird timing, as I said. Luke said on the Monday show, "Why now?" But the results were rather telling. Were you following this story, Gary?
I did. I kind of perused all the breakdowns of everything, and I mean, to me, it shows that there's still some measure of sanity in the world, that the classic show is still esteemed as much as it is.
Yes, of the people who don't know, in this YouGov poll that was published last week, they simply asked the question of a broad section of the British public: which Doctor Who TV show do you like the most? The original classic run from 63 to 89, or what they view as current Doctor Who 2005 to the present day. And I was wondering where this would go. It actually came out, slightly differently to how I imagined, with a good lead, I think. It's not a massive lead, but a good lead for the classic series, with 20% of people preferring that and only 15% going for the new series. You do wonder where this would have been 5 to 10 years ago, but we are where we are, aren't we? 10% of people like them about the same. You've got quite a chunk of people who don't like any of it, which does make me laugh. But I'm really suspicious, Simon, of the 26% of the British public who claim that they've never seen either version of Doctor Who. Do you think that's people just being obstinate?
Yeah. They're probably just being grumpy. I don't believe for a second. Is that possible? That 26% of the population
I find it difficult to believe.
Seen Doctor
Those are all the people living in Tibet. But the one question, Dan, I did have that this kind of sparked in my mind is that, does this say anything at all about the effectiveness of putting the entire Whoniverse on iPlayer? I mean, does this show that it kind of got the results they wanted, to increase the exposure of classic Who? I don't know. That was just a passing thought.
That's a really good question, because you do wonder, of the people who may be curious to try it, how many of them would even be aware, Charlotte, they can find that show that they've never even seen. That 20% of the population, who we know they'd all love it if they did see it, don't we? But maybe they don't know it's there, because I don't think that the average person will. I think that somebody who's got a TV license, who maybe get a bit sort of lazy, skipping around on the iPlayer now and again to find something new to watch, maybe surprised to find all of Doctor Who just sat there, but to actively go and seek it when they're not told, they're not directly pointed towards it. It's a big ask of people, isn't it? Just as Gary was saying, it hasn't had any effect on it at all.
Yeah, and especially as the main way sort of classic has been viewed is sort of in the collection box sets, and they're luxury items. They're very much designed and made not for new people, I'd argue, as much. They're for the people who have already seen it, because
I'd say
they want to have the extras, they want to have the sort of behind the scenes aspect of it. And that's a fan. That's not your general audience who's going to want to watch that stuff. So I think it's a combination, honestly. We've sort of said this before. I think sort of classic Who has been growing and growing for years now when it comes to interest, because of the sort of the issues current new Who.
One reason or another.
Yeah, it's made people either go back who maybe were thinking, I'll give it a go, and that was the push they needed. Or, like I've said this before, I think there's been a bit of people wanting to protect it because of other things as well. And that's maybe
very true.
You have that, and like you said, the iPlayer, which is so much easier to access, and it's sort of just been this perfect storm, which is a happy result, like we've said, that we've seen this in this YouGov polling recently.
Matt, if they held this poll in your part of the world, what do you think those figures would come out at? Around the same, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think there'd probably be less people that have seen it, especially in the modern era. I mean, it was highly popular here, but it was popular with the fans really, than just the normies, So I mean, the normies normally used to watch 60 Minutes or something like that, So I think it's kind of weird, because I'm looking at that and I'm going, you look at the age groups and you're like, yeah, how many of those age groups are allowing their children to watch it if they're not watching it? You know.
Yeah.
So you know,
surprising.
we're losing it.
I think it's great that YouGov shined a bit of a light on Doctor Who for the 20th anniversary of New Who, and this is quite amusing. How much, if any, sort of weight and significance should we attach to this, Simon?
Well, I think a reasonable amount of weight, to be perfectly honest. I think the thing that I find most heartening from it is that Doctor Who actually is as popular in any form whatsoever as it is, because again, you know, we don't always, some of us aren't old enough to, but some of us are old enough to remember the wilderness years, when Doctor Who was just so unloved. And fans like us just really were out on a limb, and there was just no love for Doctor Who by anybody outside the immediate fan circles. So actually, I think, yeah, we can put a reasonable amount of store by this, as to say, the fact that it is as popular as it is, and especially, as you say, Dan, it would be interesting to see what the results would have been if they'd done the poll, for example, at the height of the Tennant years. But whatever, it doesn't matter to me. As I say, it's still significant to me that it is as loved as much as it is, given that we came out of the wilderness years. I mean, I don't know whether you remember it, Dan, but certainly for many years, I don't know whether it got out to the States, Gary, how what a poor state the show was in. There was a feeling it would never, ever be loved, ever again. It was gone. And so I think it's lovely.
It's lovely that it has this dedicated home on the iPlayer. I think that's only right, just like a lot of things are. The Whoniverse, obviously, it sort of represents something else, a sort of a greater dream, if you like, and a brand within a brand that sort of bolts onto other things, a conversation we've had several times over. But the idea that it's all there if people could happen upon it, for example, to trigger old childhood memories or to show their kids or whatever, or just to catch up with a show that they used to love that they haven't seen for a while. I think that's a good thing, but it's clearly not being supported by the best of content or much publicity. Eagle-eyed fans who spend a lot of time on the iPlayer may have spotted something recently over in the listings here. So, for numerous stories now, the dates have started to appear to diminish on how long these episodes are going to be available for. A couple of stories vanished completely late last year, if you remember. And now it does seem like others are on notice, I suppose, as detailed on the iPlayer, including Robot there, that's obviously Tom Baker's first story from 1974. Not just Robot, though. When you travel up through his entire season, The Ark in Space, The Sontaran Experiment, and Revenge of the Cybermen, all available for just another 7 months. Doctor Who fans who'd spotted this, people who spotted this were very alarmed. Gary, that's not like Doctor Who fans, at all, is it? To see this, and of course they took to social media to ask why, and does this mean that after all that hoopla, all that song and dance, the great big logos and fanfares, that has the Whoniverse app as well fallen apart? So I don't know if anybody'd heard of this, was aware of this latest sort of mini furore.
Well, when the two earlier stories dropped, I think there were the two ones by Robert Banks Stewart. People were going, okay, that was probably because of like a licensing deal with the author and with the writer, and so they'll probably be renewed at some point. But to have stories like this, which you can't, I mean, they're all by different writers. I don't know what would be the deal that would have only had these available for a limited time. That's
well,
are
we talking that when we get into season 13, are those available for longer? Is it just season 12 that's only got 7 months on it?
It seems so for the time being. I mean, I have managed to get a sort of answer about this from one of our regular sources. So it does seem that when they put the Whoniverse together, the rights issues were the very hardest thing to sort out and to align. So even though the Whoniverse hub all launched at the same time, carrying all that material, Simon, all those episodes, it had actually taken them months and months and months to sort out all the rights and to get them to align. So some of them started from earlier points than others. So it stands to reason that the rights for them individually are also expiring at a different rate and at different dates too. So it does start to make a little bit more sense. So some were only active for a year after launch, some it seems were 2, but each individual case is going to require individual renegotiation, I suppose, with rights holders and estates. So I've been told. We're assured it's exactly the same for all content on the iPlayer from whichever decade and whatever genre, Charlotte.
I was going to say, even the first Russell run and the Moffat stuff and all that, it never has basically they always have that sort of so many months available on them. Like, that's not just for the classic episodes. And because I remember when I watched some of the new Who stuff on the iPlayer, it will say available for a year, for example. And then it just naturally renews itself or whatever deal.
Stuff like Death in Paradise or Before Paradise and all that sort of stuff.
So basically nothing on the iPlayer has got like infinite, it's up there forever when you look at it, sort of labeling. That's my point. Even the stuff that I don't think there's any rights issues technically to, like a Moffat episode, it will say, if you look at it, 1 year, or it will expire. It has the exact same. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these now start to come up, but actually when that finishes, you'll get another 7 months or you'll get another year. So that's just how iPlayer works. And I've always found it a bit odd that you've got all this content and you're almost always putting a bit of a countdown on it. When
it does seem really strange.
If you look at Netflix, if you look at all your other streamers, they don't do this. It seems to only be an iPlayer thing.
It's all there indefinitely. Yeah, it is
Netflix
very strange.
do it all of a sudden. That's the thing that's been annoying me lately, is the fact that I go through my watch list and it goes leaving soon, and it's like, oh no, I'll have to watch that at some, and then you don't get time to watch it. So yeah,
something can just vanish overnight.
But what's odd is it's so like precise on the iPlayer. That's what's I've always found odd.
Yeah.
Very, very strange business. Of course, come Saturday, the 12th of April, some new episodes of Doctor Who are going to be joining those old ones. They're going to be around for a lot longer. But I think that when new episodes go up, you're quite right, Charlotte. I'm sure that the times that I've seen them, they've had that kind of 12 months to, I think the most is only ever 12 months.
Yeah, they never go beyond that, ever, on iPlayer.
Of course, so the first one joining very, very soon will be The Robot Revolution by Russell T Davies. That's going to screen on BBC One on Saturday, the 12th of April 2025 in the 6:50 p.m. time slot we've had confirmed today, but it's up on the iPlayer from 8 a.m. that morning for the people who don't mind watching it over their cornflakes or whilst they're on the treadmill. Or, I know you do you. I always say, I can't say that to me, it's like Saturday tea time, Saturday evening thing. But yeah, some people just aren't going to be able to wait to watch it, are they, Charlotte? I suppose it's horses for courses.
Well, yeah, and I'm not going to lie. It's helpful for people like us who are going to be talking about it on the night that you can watch it during the day. So you don't have to try and quickly watch it, then get on the stream. It does help for that.
Some people are up in arms about the time slot, 6:50, as it's opposite Britain's Got Talent on ITV, but realistically, this is 2025. And Britain's Got Talent, those ratings have also been just as affected as Doctor Who's have, just like all entertainment television. Nobody's really watching that either. So realistically, I think that it stands just as much of a chance of making a good showing opposite Britain's Got Talent as it would anything else, barring sort of a royal wedding or the FA Cup final, Simon. The changes, I'm not trying to make excuses because, we all know that Doctor Who has needed to pick up the slack for a while, but it is true that all of those shows too have diminished as well, haven't they? And their event status has also been dented after 20 years on screen or something.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as we keep on saying, that the landscape of television watching has changed. But I, as we know, when something on television catches the public imagination, it just rockets. I mean, you only need to look at Adolescence, that was recently on Netflix and is still available now. That's got millions of views. Talk about catching the public imagination, and just about, it seems like the whole world has watched Adolescence. So you put something on that people enjoy, that captures the imagination, that gets people talking, and people will watch. It doesn't, there's no excuse. I don't buy any of the arguments that the landscape has changed to such an extent that things aren't watched. They are. If you give them something that resonates and they want to watch, they will watch it. Simple as that.
Yeah, and I'd also add, in Britain, we're not as much of a streaming culture,
No.
TV-wise.
No,
Yeah,
definitely not.
we are
No,
slowly
we're not.
getting there. I'm not denying that, but we still have that sort of, on a Saturday night, if there's something good, families will sit and watch it still.
No, like
So
Strictly,
you're trying to-
Strictly isn't my cup of tea, but yes, Strictly is the kind of thing that gets everybody around the television at the same time on a Saturday night.
The BBC are leading the charge in leading us there, aren't they? All the advertising you ever see on billboards and things like that, it never says like Saturday 6:50. It always says the date, iPlayer, and that's whatever show that we're talking about. So again, that's not just Doctor Who. The season launches, yes, on Saturday, the 12th of April, 8 a.m. on the iPlayer with the Robot Revolution. Later that same day, 6:50 p.m. on BBC One. Outside of the UK, you can watch it on Disney Plus, where available, and a further episode each Saturday. Of course, more on that later on, and we'll get your views about it too. Will you be watching there and then? Will you be watching over breakfast, or will you just sort of watch whenever as the week rolls on? Whenever, however, all that kind of thing. No rush, because there's some truth in that as well. You may want to fit in instead the very latest Type 40 Doctor Who podcast, for example. That's up across all major podcatchers there. So Apple, Amazon, iHeart Music, Spotify, Audible, everywhere. So this is myself and you, Simon, you too, with Alex Storer and David J. Howe as our guests. A couple of weeks ago, we recorded this, didn't we, this sort of showcase for their fabulous new book, Evolution of the Toy Dalek. And we have, the standard audio edition is out on the home feed at type40.podbean.com and on all major podcatchers with, as usual, the enhanced video edition here on YouTube and on Rumble as well. So go and get some of that. They were great guests, weren't they? Even though David did look a little bit startled, didn't he? He looked a touch afraid, but we warmed him up. We did have a laugh.
It was a good one. It was fun to talk about, that's for sure.
Yeah, and there's links to get the book too in the show notes and the description wherever you get your podcast. Go and find that. Yes. Just getting into our stride here. We've got lots of comments on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. We'll dig into those as we're going along because we've got so much to talk about. Not enough time to talk about, for example, I really can't stand April Fool's Day. If I was ever a guest on Room 101, I'd have put April Fool's Day in that every single time. Yeah. But there was a Doctor Who one this week that managed to fool a few people. I don't know if you saw this, Matt. Somebody put this up courtesy of the AI generator Grok, and did manage to convince some people that Harry Styles, the pop star and actor, was going to be the new Doctor Who. People went for this. People believe this.
There's a big issue with April Fools in the fact that now that our society is all in one, and we're crossed over with the different parts of the world. I mean, I have to deal with April Fools in over 2 days, So I take everything with a grain of salt. But then again, I also thought Doctor Who with Disney was also an April Fool's that wasn't in April. So, well. There you
We do
go.
hear stranger
Yeah.
things all year round. That's half the problem with April Fool's Day in 2025, isn't it, Gary?
I don't believe, my rule is that I don't believe anything I see on social media on that day. Nothing. Even if it sounds plausible, I don't believe it. But there was some clever stuff out there.
I remember doing, Gary, in Second Dimension, my old fanzine in the 80s.
Yes.
I remember doing a really I still worry, well, I don't worry about it, but it still bothers me a little bit. I did a really fantastic April Fool on the fact that the Tomb of the Cybermen had been rediscovered. This was clearly about a year before the Tomb of the Cybermen was rediscovered. And we did an April Fool in Second Dimension about this, really well-written story about how it was totally believable as to how the Tomb of the Cybermen had been discovered. And we even mocked up a cover and said it was going to be rush release. And we did, right. Charlotte. We mocked up a perfect cover for the time for how BBC video VHSs were released at the time, and put it out there that it was going to be rush released on video. And I still think, that was a really cruel thing to do.
Oh, no.
And it was about a year later that it did actually come back to the archive.
Well, it's funny because
no one believed you.
Well, it's funny you said that, because I saw the Harry Styles thing, and then I also saw on the same day Amazon Prime partners to do Doctor Who. Yeah. And it was clearly part of the
Psychic Beats has mentioned this in the live chat, Charlotte.
But it was part of this April Fool the day, so I was like, it's part of the Harry Styles thing. But then afterwards I was like, but that's not like out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah,
absolutely. None of it is. I don't feel anywhere near as much of a sort of Scrooge about all this. Now, I've seen all the comments here across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X from everybody in the comments section. Yeah, everybody seems to hate April Fool's Day just the same way that I do. I mean, do you think that it's partly because, just as you said, Matt, it makes everybody's life a misery now for potentially 2 days?
It's not just the fact that it makes it a misery. It's just the fact that, you really just take everything less seriously. You just go, like they said that Disney bought Star Trek, and I knew straight away that was a load of a hooey, Yeah,
we all know Doctor Who's a deadly serious business, don't we?
Yeah, but
I saw there was a fan site out there which put out the story that Philip Hinchcliffe was going to be the new showrunner for Doctor Who.
That's cruel.
It's
That's too cruel.
It's like he's 90. I'm not sure that would work. But, the detail was exhaustive. There was quotes. There was all of this. And it's like, well, okay, maybe.
Yeah. It's kind of like you can call out, when you're being told a lot of bullshit. It's like, Shooty Gatwa is wearing trousers in the next series.
That would never happen.
No.
Yeah, at least keep things relatively likely. More comments in the live chat as well. We have no one puts any effort in anymore, according to Peter Harrington. That's part of the problem. I think you could be right. Yeah, people just get out there and they create a lot of bullshit, don't they? Yeah. Rather than craft some sort of clever gag. It's just out and out bullshitting, I suppose. It's like, I'll call that my April Fool's joke. Keep on ranting about that in the live chat. By all means, I'm so glad it's not just me. Daleks Are Forever says, I'm a 240-year-old albino Somali pygmy, and I love April Fools. There you go. Thank you, everybody. Keep it all coming by all means. We've got so much to talk about, and we're glad to have you along for the ride. So keep commenting, and we'll keep chipping in with everything that we cover here on the show. Okay, where next and who? I wanted to talk briefly about this as well, because if you're not going to be a take of Harry Styles, even though he's a bit of a movie star on the sly, maybe you'd fancy the idea of this guy as the Doctor, because this is actually coming. So we've got this brand new, I think it's the very first poster artwork too for the fan film that we've been talking about all year. In fact, I think since last year, haven't we? So we've been following the progress of Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion for a very, very long time. It stars Philip Roy, of course, amongst others. And at last, we've got this fabulous new poster. Check it out.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Very nice.
Suitably retro. It's the creation of Harvey Honeyball, which sounds like a rabbit, doesn't it? Sorry from the Care Bears. But no, it's a great piece of publicity artwork here with the sort of the claw at the top and the tagline there, "Beware his deadly sting." And there's some Daleks set in the bottom, and Phil looking incredibly sort of Gene Hunt-esque as the Doctor. So yeah, this is the first poster that I'm aware of, certainly, for Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. We'll keep on following that project, of course, as the months go on, and all our best to everybody who's working right now. So I think that they've wrapped main filming, and there could be some pickups maybe, but they've started editing and putting the film together, and they're all very excited about how it's all coming together. And as always, they have our very best wishes for the future of the project. We're going to keep on following it as time goes on. Keep whetting your appetites too. So what else? What next? Where first? Where should we go first? I think, how about, here.
Hello, I'm Philip Roy, playing the Doctor in the Doctor Who fan film Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. I've been on quite an adventure, and this is most definitely the Type 40 podcast.
Yes, there's our mate Phil again. Okay. So anybody who may have wondered whether the launch of the upcoming season of Doctor Who was going to be bigger or as big as the previous one, I think that would have been a fair thing to wonder, because second seasons tend not to get the attention that first did. There was a brand new Doctor last year too, Charlotte. Yeah, you'd think that perhaps they'd take their foot off the accelerator a little. And of course, with all that uncertainty in the air, would it be appropriate to put on a big show? But it seems like they have, after all. So the publicity train has definitely started. And is it any lower key? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, there's no double-decker bus this time.
No,
but,
and
the wheels have started to go round anyway, haven't they?
yeah, and to be fair, the sort of premiere sort of event now Doctor Who has had the last couple of years, they always have a bit of a sense of occasion to them. Like, the stars come out in very nice clothes usually. You get all the press there, you get the junkets, you get the interviews. And they are sort of like a mini, almost film premiere, obviously on a smaller scale, but they have that vibe. Yeah. And if anything, I think with the current atmosphere and the sort of rumours flying that the show's in not very good state right now, I think they needed to put on a show with more than ever this year. They needed to sort of have that confidence on the front end and the sort of let's all look happy and positive and everything's great sort of attitude to sort of hold back some of the more negative stories and the rumours that are flying around.
Got the modest sight of the TARDIS there, gently lit this time, but it was joined by some really eye-catching and perspective-bending new key art. It takes the publicity up a notch. You're not so keen on this, Matt?
Oh, no, I just don't like seeing in between Shrudi's legs, really.
Well, this has been everywhere.
It's not a great view,
week.
I can tell you that.
That's a choice.
This poster's been everywhere this week, and there was a big London premiere too that happened just as we went live with the early edition on Monday. So that kicked off a furious few days of coverage, and we have this great video here. So rather than us sort of recount who we've spotted, see who you can spot in this video. Where are we? There we are.
And we're about to see the screening of the first episode.
Wow. Oh.
It's such a special evening. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh.
This is the launch of season 2.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here. I love this whole program.
National treasure alert.
Yeah.
So excited to be at the premiere. So excited to release it into the world and to see it as well.
Very, very excited. I mean, it's a childhood dream of mine. I watch it growing up. It's like a big part
It's
of
the girl from
family.
EastEnders, isn't it?
And so to be
Yeah, so
actually
she's
doing
supposed to
this
do an
show,
episode.
it's like the inner child in me is screaming.
You'd have grown up with it, I suppose, wouldn't you?
Excited to see the work that was filmed last year.
8 months of graft.
Yeah, I haven't been able to
into
stop
the season.
smiling.
So yeah, that sort of clips package there from the premiere, it does look. I think it does look a little smaller, a little more contained than before. But there was lots of smiles and some very, very silly costumes there from shooting. That is a costume. There's no way you can describe that as anything but costume, Gary. He looks like
I mean, you know, Vrada Sethu is gorgeous. Millie Gibson looks so classy, but I don't know why Shooty is wearing a triffid on his shoulder. That's a really questionable, and on a robe, I think, right, with a piece of package string around him instead of a belt.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure who his advisor is.
It's a shoelace.
Paddington Bear, I think. He would wear a piece of string around his waist, wouldn't he? Or Compo from Last of the Summer Wine.
That's what hobos
we
wear.
said the other night. Yeah, Vrada's face, I mean, she can barely contain her smile. I suppose she would have started filming on it a year and a half ago, and now people are finally going to get to see it. Millie Gibson seems somewhat reserved, but kind of classy. And there's some of the production team there as well. There's National Treasure, Anita Dobson there next to Vrada, but that's Jane Tranter and Joel Collins on the other side of Anita, Shooty and Millie, with Russell T Davies, who's so tall they've cropped his head off.
Yeah.
A professional photographer's taken this. I mean, I could have used AI to put it back on, but I decided not to, mainly because it made me laugh. So yeah, that's the lineup. No Julie Gardner, but maybe she's busy doing other things. You don't know, do you? So,
Are you sure they just haven't picked up people from the street and put them in front of the camera?
People, generally speaking, I don't think people dress as formally as once they did, do they, Matt? Apart from whatever Shooty's. I mean, when I saw some pictures of Shooty wearing this the other night, I sat there cackling at my phone for about 10 minutes. I just couldn't stop.
It's one extreme or the other with him, isn't it? It's like he's got loads of layers, like loads of like covering, and then in other stuff, it's like he doesn't want to wear any clothes and cover himself up. It's like, which one are we getting today, Shooty?
Very, very strange. Of course, they were there to watch the Robot Revolution. I thought there might be 2 or 3 episodes being shown, but apparently it was only the one. Maybe the bar closed early, I don't know. And this came up on screen. Of course, what you are about to watch won't be broadcast until the 12th of April. Please help us keep the secret. Which secret? The secret by not sharing on social media or even telling your family and friends. Thank you.
Most of the people that wanted to see this show is actually in the theatre.
So yeah, it does look like it was an extravagant night, certainly by our standards, but not as large, not as sort of global or as ambitious as previous years. And if you look around at various other pictures and other video that's floating around social media and on the official channels, there's definitely not as much presence of the Disney logo as there was this time last year. Had you spotted that at all, Charlotte?
Well, also I remember they did some like high-profile appearances in America beforehand, and I know it's still time for that. But usually, we were saying this on Monday, like between ourselves, they're probably going to do a lot of the American stuff first for time reasons, and then do the UK-based stuff. And it's
a subway car. Remember that, Charlotte?
Yeah, it really does feel like Disney's not really showing a lot in their end anymore when it comes to promotion and sort of presence and making the brand feel big like they did that first series. I definitely agree with that.
I thought you meant they were going to sort of maybe pay for them all to get a Subway sandwich, Gary. But they went a bit better than that. They got a glass of red each, unless that's Vimto, and whatever that is. Canned water too, with a glossy program, and I think that's the TARDIS there has got some popcorn in it, so it wasn't all bad news.
I'm actually, you know what? I'm actually honestly kind of surprised that, I mean, they have a big party for basically kind of like 1 45-minute screening. I'm actually honestly surprised they didn't screen 2 episodes, because the second one, Lux, is the one with the animation, which is the one that has everybody talking. And I would have thought that would be the one that they would, and you see it in the cinema. That's the one I would think that they'd kind of want to put in front of this crowd.
Yeah, and Gary, you'd think with the whole 2D animation aspect, that would look really good on a big screen.
They could have had that rinky-dink dude, couldn't they? A massive sort of inflatable of him, or a big cutout, as if he was sort of coming out at the crowd and things like that. They've lost that.
But they don't think like that, Dan.
We've got TARDIS popcorn holders instead, which they had last year. So it's probably leftover, whatever they had left over from last year, because they would have been printed in bulk. We've got a load more of these. Got a few more hundred. How many people can we fit? Now, to be honest, I mean, I don't want to be too cynical about this.
They'll be on eBay. They'll be on eBay by the weekend.
I think they already are. I try not to be cynical about this stuff, because I'd have loved to have gone to this. I think it looks like a really good time.
Yeah.
And I'm really keen to see the episode as well, more importantly. David Milling is asking the important questions, as always, in the live chat. He simply asks, salty, popcorn or sweet? We don't know yet, mate. We'll let you know. We'll let you know as soon as we find out. Yeah. Peter Harrington suggests that the Tingler is in the audience.
Oh, that's very good, Peter. That's a reference to the William Castle film. If anybody hasn't seen the William Castle film starring Vincent Price, it's an absolute classic.
The Tingler
I've
sounds
always
like a
liked
sex
the 13
offender.
Ghosts one myself. That's one with the skeleton.
In the theaters, Dan, they attached, Simon probably has more detail, but they attached some kind of like electric thing to the seats. So at certain points during the screen, your seat like
was electrified,
or tingles, or you get it electrifies your seats in the theater.
I don't think you're going to get through the risk assessment these days, Gary.
That's right.
Shooty Gatwa, of course, was I don't know, the belle of the ball, but everybody was talking about this outfit, which I suppose probably was the general idea. Nothing sort of matches anything there, really, does it? It all looks like
awful. It's just awful, and the string belts. It's just, I mean,
that's how you know somebody's trying too hard, isn't it, Simon?
You know, I think that what I just realized, I think this means that Shooty is probably auditioning for the reboot of CAD File. You know, he'll be, because he looks kind of has that monkish look with that robe.
Yeah, he looks a twat. We all know he looks a twat. But yeah, it's a nice coat. They're nice shoes. It's a nice shirt. It's all very nice. You put it all together, and you look like an arsehole, basically, mate. You want to pack it in. Virada Sethu looked a lot better. Stunning in red. I've gone on record. Yes, I've got one hell of a crush on this one. But she was there looking radiant, sincerely, and loving every minute of it as well. That kind of enthusiasm, it is really, really nice. It's sweet to see. She wouldn't have grown up with Doctor Who, I don't think, would she? I can't. No, maybe she did. She'd have been about 12 when it came back. I don't know. I think she's 32, 33.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe she did.
Maybe the tail end of Matt going into early Capaldi.
Yeah. So could be. She was gramming all night as well, and afterwards she said, "I'm still spinning from Monday night. Wow. Cannot express how grateful I am for every single person behind this juggernaut of a show. So much love and energy and heart has been poured into this season. I can't wait to share it with you all." So that's a nice message there out to the public. And she also shared some candid pictures as well of her with her sister there, following through the rest of the night to the very end. Thank you, Virada.
Hello.
I did.
Dan, that one must have had your imagination going.
All right.
Oh dear. Yes, absolutely fabulous stuff. Get over on to Instagram. I can barely keep myself together.
Yeah, I know. I think we just lost Dan.
Yeah,
I think we have.
I better bring it back. Millie Gibson was there too, still looking absolutely beautiful. She looks like Grace Kelly or something here, just stunning. Yeah. And she was on Instagram as well, sharing her hair and makeup and styling and all that kind of thing. I personally think in the clips that I've seen of Millie speaking that she seemed, whilst happy to be there, I think she looked a touch awkward. Did anybody else pick up on that?
In the photos,
there's a tiny bit of stiffness.
The way that she was speaking, she just looked very, very stiff, as if it's a sort of past life that she's going back to now.
Yeah, compared that to the other interviews in the first series, she seemed a bit more bubbly and alive, and compared to now. But to be fair, she's not in the whole series. We know she's in, I think, one episode in the finale, from my memory. So
that's how it looks. They were speaking as if she was going to be in the majority of the season. There was that photo shoot, wasn't there, with Verada, Millie, and Shooty in what looked like some sort of really cheap kebab shop, which they kind of threw together. But it does look like she is only in, just as you say, episode 4, which is the Dr. Light one, and then back for the finale. But yeah, good for her. I mean, she's obviously got that big Forsyth Saga show coming later in the year on Channel 5. Hello, my heart, says Peter Harrington. I'm not sure who that's for. Was that for Shooty or for... Hello, says Peter. Yes,
I think that was for the dress.
Shooty says hello back.
I think that was for the dress shot. Dan.
So that's I think that Millie looks absolutely fantastic. Obviously, this time last year it was all about her, wasn't it? And on that double-decker bus. And Shooty had a flare on then as well. So there's a theme. There's a bit of a theme.
They're bringing back the double-deckers. Awesome.
And there they all are together. Russell T Davies looks wired, I think is the polite way of putting it. It doesn't seem himself. And you saw the video at the start of the show as well. He seems very frantic, and I don't think he seems himself. I think that the stress of things seems like it's getting to him. Gary, did you pick up on that too?
Well, it seems like, the faster he talks, the more desperate he seems.
As I've said before, I've always been a big fan of Russell T Davies, and I've watched a lot of interviews with him. Love his work and really do rate him, and I've always considered him to be, generally up until recent times, where I felt his judgment was at fault. Generally speaking, a force for good, and somebody I've only ever wanted to have a nice life, given the fact that his work's brought me so much pleasure. But I've noticed a change in this man since last summer, and despite the fact that he insists how ready he is, and they all are, for whatever may or may not happen, I think that the look on his face and his manner does suggest that this guy, he's not an ancient guy by all means, but he is over 60, and it does seem to me like it's all bearing down on him a little there. Anybody else notice that?
Well, it's the words he picked as well, because Russell, we've said this before, he can be very deliberate with the words he does say in interviews. And the fact that when he got asked about that upcoming season 3, and when he finished with, I hope it comes back. Like, those are words as a showrunner you should never be saying publicly. Like, this is your job, Russell. This is the big Russell coming back, like being compared that, and we've said this before, to how he was in all the interviews before series 1 went out, when he was talking about how big everything was going to be, and he's going to have this and this and that, and Doctor Who was as best as it ever was. And I sort of said in our private chat, isn't it? Remember that quote he recently said in the Doctor Who magazine, that Doctor Who was invulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did say that, didn't he?
I mean,
Matthew V is watching on YouTube, Gary, and he says that he suggests that Russell knows the game is up and he can't spin something good out of this. The response to season 1 must sting.
He's still spinning like mad, though.
I don't think it's the response, Gary. I mean, like I say, we try not to have the same discussion every week on this show, but I don't think that it's the response. I think it's the situation he finds himself in between several rocks and several hard places, Gary, if you follow me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that where he thought the show would be right now, I'm sure is markedly different from where he thought it was going to be, in terms of, many more spin-offs, renewals already set, filming going on, and it just doesn't seem to be going the way he wants. But I did want to quickly just add that, I mean, I do want to say that I think Verada's post there and her demeanor in these photos at the screening, I mean, she does seem very honestly enthusiastic, you know, and excited about the show. So, you know, and that's honestly very charming, and she's, you know, hopes that things will turn out all right. And, you know, I mean, it's, I like that enthusiasm. I mean, that's kind of nice to see.
Because by the time Millie Gibson started doing the press last year, from what I remember, Matt, whatever had happened, and something has clearly gone on, whatever had happened, and whilst I wouldn't say that she seemed detached then, on reflection, she wasn't the starlet who was, I mean, maybe that's not her personality, maybe she isn't that kind of beaming starlet kind of character, but I don't know. I think it was a very different Millie Gibson to the ones that we saw on those initial social media videos and on Children in Need Night when she was first announced. So I think there is a big difference, and it does look like Verada will only be here for a single season. But you know, it's quality, isn't it, not quantity? And if this season tells her story in a rounded and affecting way, then hopefully she'll get what she needs out of it for her career, and we as viewers will enjoy the ride. I think that's probably all we can hope for. But yeah, Millie Gibson, Matt, I mean, do you think that they've missed a real trick with her?
God, yes. She was the best thing in that last series. She was.
I agree.
And you know, if there was any positive, it was her. And you know, I'm sort of glad she's out of that now. Because I mean, that was just an awful storyline anyway. They just gave her a really bad storyline, and
it didn't hold, did it?
Oh, it was dreadful, and the fact that it had no resolution. This is the resolution, you know, and it's like, well, that's not a resolution. Half of it still rumbles around in my head, going, they never explained this, they never explained that, they never explained this.
Yep.
And that was not only just her character; that was other characters as well.
They did explain it. It's just that it was just poorly executed. I feel it wasn't. It was sort of just dropped on us rather than sort of rolled out in the way that Russell's stuff used to be. Millie Gibson, obviously, we're going to see more of her this year. Could be the character will be redeemed. I'd like to think so. Yeah, I think the character does need redemption. I do think it feels half finished, and I think
she was.
Good
oh no, I don't think
here.
it. Well, he's already said that's the way it's going to end. So, but her resolution was very anticlimactic.
Yeah,
I feel her story has now been told. Now, if that's the story that he was going to tell, it's been told. There's no need to continue, and I don't think he really gives a shit.
On reflection, Matt, I think the reason why you and I feel the reason I feel dissatisfied with it is because she was a character who just had loads of stuff happen to her, and she was like that when we first met her, and she's like that at the end of that 2-part finale. And I'd like to have seen I don't think the character necessarily evolves. She finds out stuff, but she doesn't really find that out for herself. So the character doesn't feel any bigger, any more developed by the time the series is closed out. I mean, there are characters, of course, that I hope we never see return or a resolution to their story, which is an ideal point to bring in Joe Martin. Again, I don't want to take a shot at Joe Martin because, as I always say, I think she seems like a really nice woman, and I think she seems like a pretty decent actress as well, and she always looks like she's having a good time. The fans love her, but when she turned up at the premiere, and I think they knew what they were doing by inviting Ms. Martin as well. When she turned up at the premiere, of course, fans were speculating right away that this definitely means that she'll be in the next season. What are your thoughts about that, Gary? Do you think it's likely, or do you think this is just them tarring the fans?
If we haven't all done anything bad that we need to pay penance for, she won't be in the next season. I mean, she's probably there. I mean, maybe promoting the Big Finish stuff that hasn't come out yet.
I think she's there because she was invited, and
I know I saw that Kate Stewart was there, and I know she wasn't in this particular episode. I think they probably just got anybody who's still. I mean, wasn't did I see Michelle Gomez in that?
You did,
clip?
and I mean, this is.
It seems like they're just bringing in a lot of people who are still remotely kind of tied into the show.
Yeah. So also there were Michelle Gomez and Ajoya Ando, two previous cast members of Doctor Who. From several years ago as well. Well, hang on a minute, Matt. So two actual cast members of Doctor Who that were there as well. There hasn't been any speculation, any real speculation about Martha's mum coming back. Some people did leap on the Missy thing, but personally, I honestly think this is whoever's in town, whoever's got a bit of a profile. Ajoya Ando, she's been an actress on British screens for 30, 40 years. I've always liked her. She's a big star in Bridgeton at the moment. I personally, the cynic in me, suspects that she's actually there because of something political that she said a couple of years ago at the coronation, rather than any acting work that she's ever done, which I think is a great shame and a bit misrepresentative and. I don't know that's a good way to treat a human being myself, but obviously.
May I remind people, last year, Carol Ann Ford was the guest.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
So, we all know how that went. So, that's all I'll say now.
You're quite right, and that got a lot of us very, very excited. And Russell had seeded that across social media, hadn't he? So you're quite right, Matt. It could be more of the same. I've no doubt there'll be surprises in store in this season, Charlotte. But what do you think? What do you think the odds of seeing either Michelle, Ajoya, or Joe again?
Well, I don't think we're going to have a Missy or Martha's mum because they just wouldn't fit in the slightest. There has rumours, though. There has been rumours for a while that Fugitive Doctor could appear.
It's usually people winding people up, though, isn't it?
It could be.
People just wishing her back.
Here's the thing. I can understand how some of these rumours have started because Russell seems to want to reference Chibnall's run whenever he gets the opportunity. Like, the fact that we had Timeless Child referenced a number of times in the 60th.
Yeah, it was weird,
and then
wasn't it?
He carried on.
Charlotte, it was the thing. The problem is it was retconned in the 60th, and then a few episodes later, he's talking about it like it's a thing again.
Yeah,
that's what I don't understand.
And then in Ncuti's first episode, he has quite a bit of dialogue about being adopted, being an orphan, being alone, and it was just like, Russell, the clever thing to do is just to act like Chibnall's run never happened. You don't have to go out your way to retcon it, but just do like we all did about I'm human on my mother's side. Like, just nobody referenced it afterwards. So I can understand why fans saw Joe and were like, oh God, Russell, don't. We will
Simon
see.
Matt Strike says that they're hiding. What's he say? They are hiding returning people in plain sight.
No.
Clever. So is it a double bluff? What do you think, Gary?
Well, I mean, maybe what? So Joe Martin and Mrs.
All of them
have to be the same person.
All of them the same person. So Martha's mum, Missy, the Fugitive Doctor, and Mrs. Flood are all the same person.
You know, part of me almost wishes he would do that just for and just to sit back and watch the meltdown that occurs online. That would actually be perversely enjoyable.
You never know. You heard it here first, everybody. You heard it here first. You saw he said he was exploring the law. Yeah, Russell T Davies has given a few interviews. Well, say a few. Would you call them interviews? A few sound bites this week to people on red carpets and radio stations and on YouTube channels and things like that. So I haven't seen them all, but I do know that he has teased that there'll be some sort of law exploration this season. But then again, you know, some of the things he said that he was going to give us last year never actually happened. So there we are. Simon Ashley says, as much as I'm a Russell T Davies fan, I just think if Doctor Who is to move forward, I think the time for fresh new look and blood for someone else to take over the helm. Yeah, that is true, but that's not what we're talking about at the moment, to be fair, Simon. We're talking specifically about these prospects and whether, because he clearly is remaining there. Russell isn't going anywhere for the time being.
He'll be the last showrunner for now.
It's very, very evident that Russell isn't going anywhere, despite any reports you may have seen or anybody claiming otherwise. None of the information that I have ever received has ever indicated that Russell is going. Charlotte is right, says Matthew V. Thou shalt never speak of Chibnall again. That is the safest way forward.
It just causes too much upset. That's what I mean. Just leave it in the past now, that stuff.
Let sleeping dogs lie. Let sleeping dogs lie. We've got other things to look forward to, such as the war between the land and the sea. Apparently, the people who were there on the evening got the first look at the trailer for the big spin-off, which now I'd say that because they showed the trailer at the screening, that's pretty much confirmation that we're going to get this spin-off later this year. I can't see it coming this side of summer. I'd say autumn, maybe even in the Christmas to winter schedule, perhaps to make up for the fact there won't be a Christmas special. How long the trailer was and in what sort of state of completion that series is, I'm not sure. I think they finished filming it around November time, didn't they? So we don't know, do we? But most of it's coming together quite nicely. We're hearing reports from our sources that it's really good. So I was surprised to hear this, though. I haven't heard any whispers about what was in it. But I'd almost forgotten about the war between the land and the sea, man.
Oh, yes. Oh, what was that about again? I honestly don't care about any spin-offs or whatever. I know that they've wasted money on this spin-off, and what can you say? The momentum isn't there for this, and I don't think that they're going. I totally forgot about it, to be honest.
I suppose they're hoping, Matt. I suppose they're hoping that this season will be a greater success than the first, and that maybe by the time they look to screen it, there will be that appetite, there will be that buzz. That's probably what they're hoping. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is all going to just going to get worse and get bombed. It's just going to bomb really, really hard, and it's so disheartening to see it happen in real time. The entire thing. To me, the strategy itself looks absolutely fine. To be honest, I mean, I do think that the sensible thing. I do think that it's a shame there's going to be, as things stand, there won't be a Christmas special this year. I think that after Russell went to such lengths to assure, and Stephen Moffat, come to think of it, to assure a Christmas special every year for so long, then the fact that we're not going to get one this year unless there's a real miracle, I think that is a shame, and I don't think this will necessarily sate the appetites for that. But I can't fault Tales from the TARDIS or something. I think
I can't fault the strategy of making 2 seasons and what is effectively a proof of concept. That's how I see the war between the land and the sea now.
Yeah.
The proof of concept for a greater Whoniverse. That, okay, if this goes well, then we could, in the next order, whoever they end up taking, whichever global streaming service they will look to secure a deal with next, they could potentially say, okay, well, this time we can give you 3 seasons of Doctor Who and 2 seasons of a spin-off, or 2 different event series spin-offs. That's how I see it, as a kind of proof of concept. What do you think, Simon? Do you think that the fact that they showed a trailer for the spin-off at this screening means we'll get that later on this year rather than a Christmas special?
I really don't know. I maybe they're just sort of maybe they're keeping their powder dry and they're waiting to see just how series 2 will be received, because as we've sort of said before, you think back to sort of the height of the Tennant years, when the show could do no wrong, and if there was a spin-off then, as indeed there were spin-offs during the Tennant years, they were absolutely huge. And so, truth be told, if series 2 is to suddenly resonate with the public and suddenly Doctor Who actually took off again, and the public responded well, then that would be the absolutely perfect time to then drop this spin-off, wouldn't it? So maybe they're just sort of keeping it in their back pocket. Maybe this is why they're being cagey as to when it's going to come out, because they're just holding on to it in the hope that just maybe series 2 will hit home with the public, and suddenly they've then got a ready-made spin-off show on the shelf to literally just drop at a moment's notice. And so I think my honest feeling at this point is I don't think they know when or even if it's going to get screened. I think there will be no concept of a date for screening at the moment, because they won't have started planning the autumn schedules at this point. The BBC will have no idea of the schedule at this point. They'll have some vague ideas that, yes, Strictly's going to come back and things like that. But beyond that, there will be no real shape to the autumn schedule at this point. And so I think it's highly likely there's no date for this at all. They're just holding on to it until such time that they ultimately decide it'd be a good time to do this now.
Something to keep their eyes on the screen, I suppose, as well, Charlotte, and a good gauge for people. Obviously, because the invitations, I don't know of any fans that went to this or any influencers. It was sort of hand-picked people. There are people from, again, people who purport to be fans, but are actually legacy media people that masquerade as fans. I haven't seen anybody there, for example, from the content creation world or anything like that, or there weren't any tickets sort of put aside and offered as a prize at random at all that I was aware of. So maybe they knew that they got that sort of captive audience of people from the media. Let's just see what they think of this trailer, and we might know whether it's got any legs or not.
Well, also, I think sort of this spin-off is serving two really important things, which is, can they do something that isn't Doctor-centric and have it work?
Yeah.
Because if you want this big universe, if you want your universe, whoever's in your lead can only do the main show and maybe the odd appearance in a spin-off. They can't be everywhere. So you need to be able to show this Doctor Who as a brand can work for multiple characters. That's what was so good about the spin-offs of Torchwood, that you had Jack as the central figure for that show, who wasn't the Doctor, was very different to the Doctor, there were certain things you could write that he could do that the Doctor could never dream of doing on screen. Same with Sarah Jane. She had a different function, but it wasn't a Doctor function. So this needs to prove that they can have life elsewhere to have this universe. And Luke said it in his chat that he's just put in. This could also be used as a gap filler. This could be used as a very convenient, if it takes a while to get series 3 up and going, we've got this in the back pocket.
Yeah, Luke here in the live chat, obviously our panelist Luke from Mondays says early next year to fill the gap between seasons 2 and 3, with series 3 coming in 2027, so Russell can keep that promise of New Who every year. I don't think Russell's too bothered about keeping. Were they promises? I think, if I remember correctly, he says our ideal. The ideal would be this. So I think he always fell short of offering them as promises.
Yeah, I think he was very careful. He was very clever back then to not say it's going to definitely happen. But I think he's very aware that if you have nothing Doctor Who on screen for 2 years, or however many years it could possibly be, then your brand's going to disappear. He needs something on screen to keep some interest going, or it's just going to fade away.
I honestly think that's what they're doing. I think that was a dry run, effectively, in that hand-picked audience, that safer environment, because I wouldn't say all bets are off with Doctor Who as things go at the moment, but they're clearly not in the place that they originally wanted to be in when this whole thing started, are they? A sad state of affairs, as is the reception in the live chat. There's not a huge amount of appetite at all for the spin-off in particular, but to be fair, we don't know. It is just a show with a title like any other. It's connected to Doctor Who, but it stars characters that we haven't met. It's written by someone who has written a couple of episodes, but nobody's got any real strong opinions about one way or the other. So the fact that there's no appetite for it as such, I don't know. It's like, this is the spin-off that we never asked. It's the spin-off that we never asked for, some people have said. But you could have said that about Torchwood 20 years ago. You know, I'd say that only the Sarah Jane Adventures was a spin-off that people had kind of asked for, and even that was with a small a. It felt like unfinished business. So realistically, you know, I feel that we shouldn't complain that they don't give us anything new, and then when they conceive of something new in an exciting modern formula and they give it to us to say, well, we never asked for this. Think, well, we can't have it. I don't think we can have it always. Yeah.
It's a very standard looking show so far. There has been nothing to even indicate the creatures or anything at all to get people excited.
I think that they have confirmed the Sea Devils are involved, but other than that, there's been nothing.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying is you say about Torchwood. Well, Torchwood, they knew that Captain Jack was going to be in it, and they knew that it was going to be adult orientated, and people had a little bit of an excitement for it. Whereas, I think that I think that they also lost the excitement once they found out how dark and adult it was, and they were like, "Oh, this isn't Doctor Who at all." But I remember that there was that anticipation for that series, but I don't see that anticipation for this series. It's still in the works, you know.
Well, let's move on.
They've not shown enough, put it bluntly.
Okay, we have had this conversation before, haven't we? As well, we've got obviously there's still those rumours persisting about Russell Tovey's character, even though we seem to have a character name as well for him. It doesn't look like he's playing the Master, but then again, that could be a double bluff as well. So by all means, let us know your theories there in the live chat. Stephen Braddock says, I completely agree with you. Astute words. Peter Harrington, he's not counting the days either. He claims it will disappear with a plop. I don't know. I don't know at all. Daleks Are Forever says, we expected better from them, Dan, and accepting something S is not in my genes. Well, we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it yet. What do you want me to say? And Freema, says Peter Harrington. Freema. Well, a character that people loved and sort of miss. Definitely. So, that's the War Between the Land and the Sea that we've got a trailer. We didn't get it. They got a trailer for at the premiere the other night. So that was Monday there with the premiere that none of us were invited to. That's how it started off. But the week continued on with something that got quite a lot of publicity, but not in the way that I think that they would have initially have hoped for or wished for. Okay, so a few weeks ago, we covered how the radio times really did go all out for Doctor Who's 20th anniversary of New Who, didn't they? You know, they really did deliver on that front in a way that nobody else even tried to. Multiple covers of their magazine, but then again, they did charge a £5 for each one, didn't they? So you could say, well, of course they would. But this week, they chose to launch their coverage of season 2 of Doctor Who, even though season 2 of Doctor Who doesn't actually start until the week after. I'm still struggling with that one. But it does effectively, though, help, I suppose, lead those who are interested to that date of April the 12th. Maybe they thought it was going to drop on the Friday like last year. I don't know. I mean, obviously, the Radio Times has got this long-standing connection with Doctor Who now, stretching back decades, all those classic covers, a heritage, no less. And this is the 115th time that Doctor Who has been on the cover this very week with this striking purple photo backdrop there and the headline, Who Goes There? We've got Belinda and the Doctor stood starkly on the cover of the Radio Times. I'm I'm well out of the habit of buying the Radio Times now. I mean, I suspect that that's also left you long since as well, Simon.
Are you having a laugh? Who was it that was recently saying how much this costs? I think, was it on last week's show that you were saying it's like a £5?
It's a £5 each, yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I cannot believe that anybody would pay £5 for the Radio Times these days. It just amazes me, when all it is, truth be told, is an advertising magazine for the BBC. It just seems really, really odd to me, but there we go. But obviously, it's a long time since I bought the Radio Times, and I'm not. This isn't going to win me back to it, is it? Let's be honest.
What this issue has delivered on that the 20 years one hasn't is some striking new photography across this 4-page article there, featuring Varada Sethu and Shruti Gatwa, and the line, "Who's that girl?" And this is really another interview with Varada. Not unwelcome. I think when somebody joins the show, we want to find out a little bit more about them and get some idea about who they are, what makes them tick, whether they grew up watching the show, as we said, Charlotte. It's all standard stuff, isn't it? We always want to know the same things about the new stars of Doctor Who, don't we? But what we don't want to know about is their politics, their sexual orientation, and all that kind of thing. We want the air of mystique around our stars. I'm not really sure who's to blame when there is furore that comes out of such things that are so innocent as an interview in a TV guide. Is it the actor or actress in this case, or is it the interviewer who decides which questions they're going to, not just the interviews they're going to put to them in interviews, but those which they're going to package and effectively pass on to external websites to keep the clickbait machine running? Because this interview with Varada this week really did generate a lot of controversy, didn't it? And despite the fact that it runs to several hundreds, a few thousand words, people focused on one specific quote, didn't they? But have you read the whole thing? I mean, I've read it. I think most of it comes across as pretty standard, fluffy TV guide stuff myself.
Yeah. I haven't read the whole interview, but I made sure, like you said, when I saw the sort of the thumbnails and all the videos appear, I was like, right, I'll see if I can find in context and actually in that part of the interview what she properly said. Because sometimes people, whether they do it on purpose or not, can sort of give a very sort of, here's my version of what somebody said, or here's what I think, when actually you go back, it wasn't quite said in that manner, or it wasn't quite said with that sort of feeling that certain it can get presented like sometimes, honestly. But I'm going to be honest, my first reaction when I saw a lot of the furore was just, oh God, we're here again. Okay, I thought we weren't going to do this time.
It did feel like deja vu.
I thought
because they did the same. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? How they word things, how they put. There used to be an expression when I was a kid, Simon, and it was ask a silly question, get a silly answer. That can only take one so far.
Yeah.
Into this sort of paradigm and explain so much, can't it? Because again, I can't say enough. This is hardly some sort of charged interview and sort of tear down of a fan base. It's not like that at all. This isn't even aimed at fans. This magazine is for the general reader, casual viewer. This isn't aimed at fans whatsoever, but it is understandable that the fan base has latched onto this, and it's hit that scar tissue that Charlotte was pointing at, because we've simply heard it all before, and it doesn't matter how pretty the lips are from which they are leaving. We're just sick to the back teeth of it all.
And the odd thing is, Dan, that you're completely correct. The whole point about the Radio Times and most of these interviews, they're not for fans; they're for the general public. And let's not forget, they're there to entice the general public in. They're trying to get the general public, geared up for watching Doctor Who again. That's the idea. They're supposed to be getting the general public excited about watching Doctor Who again. So it just seems odd a really strange way to engage with the public is to talk about the stuff they're talking about. I don't understand what part of any publicist makes them think this is a good route to go down to sell our program to the general public. I don't understand where people are coming from, thinking that this is the best ploy to take to sell it to the general public. We won't tell them. We won't tell them about the exciting episodes they're going to see, or any of the any of the fun stuff that's going to happen in the series. We won't tell them about any of that. We'll tell them about other stuff that we think is somehow going to sell the series. I mean, is it me? Am I missing something here?
To be fair to her, she does talk up the show, and her enthusiasm for the series, for the part, for her colleagues, and for the audience generally does come across. I mean, obviously, a lot of these things, by the time we read them, generally speaking, they've been edited several times, haven't they, Gary? They're given to several people to fashion into shape, particularly. And the more mainstream a publication, the more likely that's going to happen, isn't it?
I mean, I read the whole article, and I thought overall it was a very nice profile of Verada, her background, her life history, about her family. She was, I guess, she was initially going to go for a veterinary degree, and then she wanted to shift into acting, and it was about like telling her parents that she wanted to do it. And overall, I thought it was a very, very nice interview. And when it does get to talking about the one quote, which everybody has latched onto, it was basically, it almost read to me like it was just a comment that she just kind of like, casually tossed off. That it wasn't like the first volley in a tirade where she gets up on her chair in the cafe and starts going on a tirade about, politics and the
because we do see that, don't we, Gary?
Yeah.
As people who follow pop culture, we see people behave just like that, who call people for interviews and say, right, I want somebody from Entertainment Weekly or Hollywood Reporter over. I want to give them a piece of my mind. And that's not what this is.
And that quote, which I think everybody who's been talking about the quote has quoted in its entirety, that's all that it is. It's not like the first of 4 paragraphs with her expounding more about this topic. Like I said, it's maybe basically 3 or 4 sentences. It's toward the very end of the article. And like I said, it reads to me like it's just something that she tossed off, not that like this is her personal life philosophy or anything. I mean, I can see that it's kind of provocative following on from the touch grass comment. I just don't personally think it's at that level. It doesn't come off like that.
If this had come out in isolation at a completely different time with a different cultural backdrop, not her cultural backdrop, I mean our greater cultural landscape at the moment, the cultural conflicts that exist, the battleground that has been made of every franchise, and how people have been, the attempt to turn people against one another within every kind of community that celebrates any aspect of geek culture. If all that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't say that people wouldn't have noticed this, but the people who thought it's a strange thing to say, and then they'd have turned the page and got onto the bit where she talks about whether she prefers a pot noodle or a Pop-Tart. It's that kind of thing. But this is what she actually said. So she said, so on the subject of the reception to her casting and the fact that there is now a TARDIS team that doesn't consist of any white actors and actresses. And Verada simply said, it's been a couple of Dr. Woke or whatever, but I just think we're doing the right thing if we're getting comments like that. I wouldn't say it's open to interpretation, but I'd say, and it's cotton-headed, but it's not inflammatory, in my opinion.
That comment isn't, as far as I'm concerned, that comment
No.
isn't. It's the later comment that I got.
I've got that as well.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying that to me, that's nothing. I mean, just the fact that it's I couldn't care less that there's two people in the thing. We had that last year with Shooty being in there. That it was Dr. Woke. So it just doesn't. I don't care. I don't care as long as they can bloody act.
I mean, as this story was breaking, Matt, I was thinking, oh, God, not again. Oh, here we go. But when I actually went to read it and saw what was actually said, I wouldn't say I heaved a sigh of relief. I thought, I was disappointed, shall we say. But I don't think this is the end of the world by a long chalk. And it's another actor kind of saying a version of the thing that they believe that they're supposed to say. In fact, I've got a tiny sort of shard of a memory, Charlotte, of Millie Gibson actually saying something really similar.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Millie made quotes nearly exactly like this. And I think it caused a bit of fan backlash at the time, but Shooty was making so much of an idiot of himself. I think most people at that point were mainly focusing on him. And so and I agree with Matt, this is a very standard now response. Like, we've heard this so much with actors and actresses. So and I agree with what you said. She's not at all trying to get fans angry. She's not at all having an attack here in the slightest. It's just a very standard answer for an actress to say in current
exactly like Millie. Millie obviously wasn't talking of her own ethnicity. She was speaking about Shooties last year, but she did say largely the same thing. Sorry, Gary.
No. I sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say that I didn't finish this article thinking, oh, well, she's an activist. I didn't get that at all.
No,
in this.
She just comes across as a kind of jobbing actress, albeit one who has no idea. And this, again, this is something, she's not alone. And it's not just actors and actresses that don't know what the word woke means. A great many people don't know what the word woke means in 2025. And I think that's part of the, I think that's a deliberate attempt by, people of the far left, mainly, of left-wing institutions to put all of that, to put identity politics out into the ether, to poison the waters of education and institutions with it, and then say, what do you mean? Well, what's woke? What do you mean? We've all heard it. Anybody, if you mention that something's woke, what do you mean by woke? Can you define woke? I know what woke means, and you probably do as well, Gary, but Varada Sethu clearly has no idea what woke actually means. She went on to say, woke just means being inclusive, progressive, and that you care about people. And as far as I know, the core of Doctor Who is kindness, love, and doing the right thing. I mean, and this is, again, in and of itself, who is against inclusivity, caring for people, or, on principle, progressiveness? I'm not against any of those things, but that's not what woke is all about. That's not what the woke movement is all about, and that's not how wokeists define their mission to their DEI goals. That's not how they see it at all. So it seems to me just the same as Millie. This is the latest. It's an update. It's an MPC statement that's been delivered to her that she will repeat on cue without. And she's probably just asked them, well, what does that mean? And she's repeating the definition that she's been given. That's the impression that I also get, Gary.
Yeah, I mean, if she herself doesn't have the time or the interest to immerse herself in all of the, the kind of corrosive toxicity of what's been going on, then you know what? God bless her. More power to her. I wish I could kind of cleanse myself of a lot of that. But I mean, I think that if some people out there on social media or YouTube are trying to cast her as some kind of like the Doctor Who equivalent of Rachel Zegler, I think that is way off. I didn't get that, from this. And if she honestly believes this, like I said, more power to her. I'm not going to go up to her and say, hey, no, you need to be more negative and more, exclusive and immersed in identity politics. Maybe
because all of those things are nice things, aren't they? And Matt, I mean, for me, Matt, Doctor Who is at its core not kindness, love, and doing the right. Well, I suppose it is doing the right thing, but Doctor Who is a sci-fi show for a family audience about fighting monsters. I mean, you could say it's about doing the right thing and running around. It's entertainment. But people, I suppose people can see different things in it, can't they?
Yeah.
But you must have, again, when you read this, you must have thought, oh God, not another one as well, because it's very clear the woman has no idea what woke actually means.
Yeah, this doesn't bother me as much. It's just the fact that it was the other comment that she made that really, really ticked me off.
Yeah, in closing, she mentioned a conversation that she had. She had a conversation with her co-star, Ncuti Gatwa, and allegedly Ncuti said to her, "Look at us. We get to be in the TARDIS. We're going to piss off so many people." Again, these are just words on a screen or in a magazine. We don't know the tone at which that was said. Personally,
I don't know how you want to look at us. We get to be in the. How do you get to be so jolly and everything with that?
Well, but I mean,
he's obviously being antagonistic, and this is the issue. He's always antagonistic.
Well, Matt, we're hearing about something here. It's a version of something that was said, not by the person who said it.
But I believe he said that. I can totally believe he said that. That sounds like him.
But I think it's likely paraphrased, and I do think that it was probably said with a certain amount of glee. I mean, glee is different to spite, and ignorance is different to malignance, isn't it? I mean, it's a silly thing to say, and the idea to take kind of pleasure in pissing off people, it's not the most attractive of looks. The question that I come back to with this is, does this man genuinely feel that not just the fan base, but that the audience or the potential audience for Doctor Who, which includes the entirety of the British public and even the global audience, you could say, but let's say the British public, does he really believe that those component parts are largely or significantly made up with racists? Because we all know that that's not true. And that's what worries me. The fact that Ncuti, because however he said this, whether it was playfully or whether he was deadly serious, the fact that he floated that out there, I quite agree with you, Matt, means it's an indicator that somewhere inside him, he does believe that there's a significant proportion of their audience who are racists. We know that that's not true.
And he's been told that numerous times by other people.
That was going to be my next question.
Team.
That was going to be my next question. If we look at it, that somebody's clearly told Verada their version of what woke means, is this also inherited wisdom from somewhere or someone else? Because obviously these are both people in their 30s, Ncuti and Verada. They should know better, but it seems they don't.
The issue is, see, I don't have a problem with what she said about diversity. If they want to put diversity into Doctor Who, that's fine. Don't fuck with history. And that's where their issue is. They're going back and they're trying to change the perspective of what has been before. And that's the bit that really ticks me off.
Yeah, that's the BBC's editorial position.
Yeah, I know, but it shouldn't be that way.
I agree.
It doesn't make any sense.
Boils everyone's piss. Isaac Newton was not a Pakistani. He was a Caucasian man.
But, yeah,
it's odd, isn't it? Because what this is doing is it's preaching inclusivity, but it's not actually being inclusive. Ironically, it's preaching something that it's not then doing, because they're pleased that they're going to piss off so many people. So they're happy to do that. Well, that's not inclusivity in my book, because you're choosing to alienate a group of people.
Obviously, she doesn't confirm how she responded to her co-star saying that, but obviously the inference is that she laughed along with it, and they enjoyed the idea, which again is disappointing.
Well, this is touching grass. I mean, this is, isn't it? This is her touching grass moment. There's no two ways about it. This is basically saying you're either with us or you're against us. It's not. As you say, it's not a good look.
You're quite right. I think it does create a them and us kind of dynamic, whereby these two actors were were, albeit behind closed doors, just the two of them, kind of laughing at a proportion of the public in the belief that they are prejudiced. And I find that difficult to square.
The problem is with how the production team and Shooty and Russell, it wasn't just him, to be fair, that first series, but his comments definitely were a big part of it last year. Because his comments then were very antagonist. He was antagonizing the audience then. Yeah. He was going out of his way to basically say, you can either watch us or you don't. Like, that's touching grass. He even talked about gammons. Like, those sort of words were said in an interview with him. And that was his words last year. This wasn't somebody else saying, oh, Shooty said this stuff. Like, now, this was Shooty's actual comments. And because of that, now people are basically second guessing how he said this. In what way did he say this? Did he say it, like you said, in a laughing tone, or was it the inference to do with race?
Even that has a kind of ugliness to it. But you think,
this is the problem. People are more likely to believe the worst of him because of his own conduct in this role last year.
Well, when you line it up again in isolation, this would be, again, you think, oh, really? But when you line it up with white mediocrity, when you line it up with go touch grass, when you line it up with, what was the other one? What was his other statement about gammons? That's when the picture, it starts to fill in it starts to join a lot of dots, form a particular shape, pointing to a very unappealing mindset and worldview held by the actor who's playing our hero.
Because
he's just a modern grifter. That's what he is. He's using his skin color at a time that's extremely incendiary to get to where he wants to get to. And that's it. He has no talent. He's a talentless actor. He can't even act. He needs to go back to acting school if he ever did it.
The only thing I can sort of cling on to, Matt, is the fact that obviously when they were doing this, because Verada was working on the show several months before season 1 premiered. I think it was before. I think she was working on it before before The Church on Ruby Road actually aired as well. So I think, well, okay, they had this conversation early doors. Maybe now, particularly Shooty has been in the role, saw the reception that he got, which initially was reasonably warm. Hope maybe he did change his mind, but that's the most generosity I can muster for this. I find it crushingly disappointing Yeah,
well,
you're getting paid to do a job, just do your job. That's
all. Well, the problem is with Shooty as well. He's not. The comments last year probably wouldn't have hit as much, and this wouldn't have got out so much, this recollection, if he had had an absolute runaway success in the role. Mm-hmm. If he'd had a knockout first series acting-wise and everybody talking about his acting, then these comments probably wouldn't have had that sort of reach. But because that hasn't happened, then people will focus on the negative side, which is what he does in interviews, sadly, sometimes. And this sort of image of that's, like you said, it's a negative image right now, which he can't seem to stop or fight or sort of get away from, which is so dangerous when you're the lead in a series like this.
For every nice thing he appears to say or do, there's a moment like this. And of course, it was somebody speaking on his behalf. Yeah. You could say, I mean, maybe it was meant to be a conversation that they had in private. And as I say, maybe it was at a particularly heady time. Maybe they feel differently now. Maybe he wouldn't say this now. I don't know. But the thing is, it's not just the fact that he said it. It's the fact that Verada, all this time later, repeated it. So, somebody asked the question in the first place, because I think these journalists who ask these nasty questions deliberately to divide people and to provoke people and to get the clickbait as well. I think that's ugly as well. But also the editor of the Radio Times, I think, well, should we leave this in? This doesn't necessarily show these actresses in the best of lights for a show we're meant to be promoting. We know that people find this stuff repellent, Gary. Really, are we here again?
That was actually my exact reaction too, because I thought, well, okay, this was the first kind of extended interview and comments, from Verada that I'd read. And it seems like I would really like to know how the interviewer phrased the questions that got that response. I really want to know what exactly she was responding to when she said this. But again, Dan, as you just said, who knows what the Radio Times agenda is, because, I mean, for the most part, like I said, this is a 2-page article, and this quote that we've been talking about is at the very tail end of it. It's not expounded upon. So could it be that, well, if that was, and the rest of it I thought was just a very nice, profile, maybe that was, they were looking for something that was kind of controversial, I think. And in the
Gary, I think your instincts are right. I think that the Radio Times, despite them still existing as a print publication, are now thinking of their website first and foremost. How many articles can they divide this interview up into with as many catchy, clickbaity titles as they can? And I think that they will do that irresponsibly if they need to. I think that any kind of loyalty they have to the Doctor Who fan base is simply about getting a $5 out of them for each cover that they put out, and any respect or duty of care that they may have towards their interview subjects. I don't think it even factors with these people. I mean, I'm sure that there are writers like David Butcher and Hugh Fullerton who love who love Doctor Who and love these actors. This interview wasn't conducted by either of those guys. It was somebody else's name I don't recognize.
Out of everything she said, that was the pull quote that they put by the main photo.
Exactly.
And that's not even really the subject of what she was talking about.
And here's the thing, they'll be very aware that there's that camp which are waiting for the actors to put their foot in it. There's a camp which can make lots and lots of content from actors saying these things. The actors don't help themselves by saying it, but my point is what you're saying, Gary. It's like they purposefully put all that stuff front and center so people then can go, oh, I just need that quote. I don't need to look beyond that, and I can make my point. Because people don't read the whole thing generally. That tends to be how humans work.
Let's look at some of the comments over in the live chat here, because people have been chipping in on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X with this conversation that we've been having. As you can imagine, it's unearthed some charged views. And hit the scar tissue that we were speaking of earlier on. Matthew V says, if answers cause embarrassment to those who made the comments, it's not the messenger's fault, says Matthew. Vanessa says, hi, Vanessa. She says, I don't know about everyone else, but I'm feeling just exhausted with all of this stuff. It drains you, doesn't it, Matt? It's
been 8 years. 8 years. And it's just been the
same phrases,
on top
the same
of
agenda.
Each other. Yeah, exactly, Dan. Exactly. And I totally agree, Vanessa. It's just wore you down to the point, you're right to the bone.
Stephen Braddock says it's very true that the Radio Times are also to blame. They could have edited out and not published it. They're to blame too. I do. I think it's irresponsible. I don't think it gets anybody anywhere. It doesn't promote the show. Quite the opposite, in fact. Josh H says it's fine wanting to be nice, but it feels to me a lot of this is self-preservation. They have a social status to uphold where they have to be seen to say those things. This is, as I say, it's the NPC meme, isn't it? It's we will all say this together in unison. It's all, somebody recently described the Doctor Who sort of world and the kind of the sound bites that you get from it as robotic. The other day, oh, that's exactly right, because you just hear this stuff all the time. It's like Doctor Who is about change. Doctor Who is about change. Doctor Who is not about change. But somebody in a very lofty position spent years putting it in every script he could at any given moment. And so for years after the fact, everybody was just repeating on a loop, Doctor Who is about change, not even thinking about what they were actually saying. And that's the kind of thing I think actors, they're not any kind of higher life form. They're not any more immune to this stuff. And that kind of suggestive way of communicating and of embedding ideology in somebody else's mind. They're not any more immune to it than we are. We've got let's get some more people. What's that? Yeah, I'm hoping that's too deep for this. C3PO is there in the live chat on YouTube. John Boyega played the race card and blamed racist fans for the poor reception to Finn. That was his character in the Star Wars sequels, wasn't it? This is a British actor who had a high-profile role in the 3 Star Wars sequel films. So he blamed racist fans for the poor reception.
Were poorly written.
He blamed racist fans for the poor reception to Finn rather than Disney, doing a 180 on his previous comments. You see, before, he'd really lambasted Disney, hadn't he? Because they stripped that character. As I remember it, people like John Boyega in that role, Matt, and I saw this as well. And it's a complete turnaround. A couple of years ago, this guy, he was blaming Disney, said he'd never work for them again, said that he found Star Wars to be the most terrible experience.
He actually said, you'll never Disney Plus me, because when they asked him about doing a spin-off. Yeah, he said, they asked him, how about if are you thinking of doing a spin-off? Because they just announced Andor. And he said, you'll never Disney Plus me. Is what he said. That's almost a quote. I'm paraphrasing probably, but that's almost a quote.
I've always liked John Boyega. I think he seems like a good guy, but this if this is true, Z, then he's shot down in my estimations. Sonny Waffles suggests that Shooty Gatler, I think, talk about, he has the biggest ego for being the worst Doctor yet.
You got to hand that to him.
I just love the name. I love the name Sonny Waffles.
Yeah. No, well, I think he's more entitled. I feel he out of all of them, even beyond that, beyond the woman that was on there before him, he just seems entitled and that he belongs there, and it's just he just has no.
Matthew V here says, I think his career is toast. He's probably done with Doctor Who. He's a poser. Because, you'd have thought that after putting in that abysmal performance, it has to be the worst leading performance I've ever sat through in a high-profile drama on British television. You would have thought that pig's ear she made of Doctor Who would have ended Jodie Whittaker's career. But she's still able to secure work somehow.
Yeah.
You know what? I was watching a kids show the other day, and it was produced by Aardman, and I was like, "Oh, this narrator sounds familiar, like really droll and bad, and my ears are bleeding." And then I went, "That's bloody Whittaker," and it was, and she getting job. I'm like, how the hell she was so mundane, like even in narrating, and I'm like, how do people like this get jobs?
When you mentioned Aardman just now, Matt, I thought you were about to say that Jodie is doing a live-action version of Shaun the Sheep or something like that.
Josh Haight says, I know someone who's very left-wing and doesn't like this stuff either. They like Doctor Who for things like sci-fi. They don't want their own politics repeated back to them. Well, that's reassuring to know, because again, a great many of the people, it's you say very left-wing, we're talking about the hardcore, far leftists and those who are possessed of this ideology and big believers in sort of this DEI, where meritocracy is sort of like seen as some sort of inflammatory concept and word. We're talking about those people who you just can't reason with them. They're completely possessed by that ideology, and there's never any grey areas. Those are the people that I'm directly pointing to. No offence to your friend. The production's assumptions are based on prejudice against a group of the British public, states Robert Payne here in the live chat, a disregard of the potential audience. Again, it goes completely against Russell T Davies' original sort of persona as this ringmaster, sort of come one and all, everybody sit down, this will bring you together. And you got this dick saying, oh yeah, we're going to piss people off. And what the fuck?
And And also, it's like we've been saying on the Monday show how the trailers have been better this year. The actual promotional images have been a lot better. Like, we haven't seemingly had up till now comments that were sort of incendiary. And it's just like, it's almost like clockwork. We're a week to go and we're getting this.
Yeah, it's not a good look, is it? It's not a good look. What's this here? Why? What glee do you get from pissing people off in relation to Doctor Who? Again, I suppose it's a momentary thing, but the fact that he vocalized it to his friend and his colleague. I mean, however well they knew one another back then. The issue with Gatwa is that he's a textbook narcissist, says Matthew V. And Doctor Who is generally about war, suggests Daleks are forever. I think the backdrop is war a great deal of the time. But yeah.
I will say,
narcissists working for Disney, doesn't he?
I will say on a positive Radio Times note that, Dan, one thing that you mentioned a couple weeks ago when we were celebrating New Who's 20th is the free bookazine that you can download from their site as an ebook is really worth getting. I downloaded it, and it has like every New Who cover from the last 20 years. It reproduces those big 2-page spreads with like Matt and Karen and with Peter Capaldi and Jenna, a ton of great pictures. So, and it's free. So that really is a publication worth downloading and looking at. I recommend it.
Superb. Yeah, I've been meaning to get that. I haven't got around to it yet. Control the language, control the people. Just mix all the words together, says Sonny Waffles. Matthew V asks, Dan, why are you subjecting us to all these buzzwords? Which buzzwords? What, me or them? We're doing the right thing. They aren't actors, they're activists. Yeah, so again, I can understand these responses. And Sonny suggests that Doctor Who YouTube does a bit better advertising. Huh?
Oh, the official site, you mean?
Yeah, YouTube.
Doctor Who YouTube
advertising. I think that's
that one.
Right. Okay. What else is here? Yeah, we've got TARDIS Travels in the live chat as well. Daleks are forever, and lots more as well. Yeah. So we do hope. Again, it's depressing to go back to this stuff. It's incredibly disappointing to be reading crap like that. Whether it's second or third hand, it's just not a very pretty picture to paint.
I think one of the other things that I just find really not a very pretty picture to paint is that these are Doctor Who stars and they're using words like piss off anyway, and that just isn't a great look. You know,
Radio Times are printing it.
when would you have heard Peter Davison or Tom Baker or Elizabeth Sladen or any of those people say we're pissing people off? It's just and Russell T Davies was using the F word this week in another interview.
As well.
It's just not nice. The people at the top of Doctor Who should not be using that kind of language, whatever the meaning behind it. If you want to express those opinions, that's fine, but you shouldn't be using words like piss and
profanities in a magazine as well that is on. In theory, it's still on coffee tables in family living rooms across Britain.
And Doctor Who is still supposed to be a family show. It's not an adult show. It's a family show. So
just a word of warning, everybody.
That's one of the things that I find the most disturbing about all this. And I say, when I saw Russell T Davies use the F word this week, it's just appalling. They should all be ashamed of themselves.
Russell is speaking to the Radio Times in the next issue out next week, as we get teased for that at the very tail end of the interview with Audred AudioVisual there. Read Russell T Davies' exclusive episode-by-episode guide to the new series in next week's Radio Times, on sale from the 8th of April. So that's coming next week. Don't miss that. Heaven knows what he'll say there. Who'll be the target? There's got to be something, hasn't there? There's got to be something. Another thing that came out of this as well was confirmation too that Audred AudioVisual was, she was offered the role of Belinda in October 2023 and states that she was filming just 2 weeks later. So for the people out there who are still clinging to the idea that the Millie Gibson thing was all planned and nothing went on, there were no fallouts, all that kind of thing, do you really think that they give people roles of this important significance on a show that she would be filming for 8 solid months in a very intense schedule? Usually, do you think it would be desirable to give somebody a part like that with a fortnight's notice? So I'd say not.
I want to know when the production was for that episode that she was in, because I want to know, was that filmed before it's like she left?
Yeah,
Millie left.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to know. I want to know, where did they go? Oh, she'd be actually good for this, because she's got some chops. We'll wonder if she's interested, because we need someone quick. So I'd just be interested to know when the production was for that particular episode. Boom. Sorry, is it not Boom? Is it
Boom?
Boom?
Yeah, that's when she was
the one.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can read this for yourselves in the Radio Times, currently available in newsagents and supermarkets all over Britain. If you've got a fiver burning a hole in your pocket there, I suppose, if you want to complete a collection, I don't know, but the digital edition is a little bit cheaper and still available, pretty easy to get on your tablet and things like that. And it's for posterity. At least you could read it for yourself. And we may be looking at it again at some point in the future, but we'll certainly be looking at the Radio Times when Russell T Davies gives us that preview as well next week. So yeah, make sure you're around for that. Any Radio Times readers left there at a fiver a shot? I'm pretty sure it's only completists and Doctor Who fans that buy it regularly. Makes good firelighters, according to Rob in the live chat.
Practical advice, at least.
Yes.
Sonny Waffles isn't a fan of the way that Russell T Davies speaks. Well, I'm not now. I used to find him ever so infectious. And to be fair, on that podcast he did with David Tennant, which generally speaking, I wouldn't recommend that podcast for the most part, but the conversation is quite interesting and it is quite candid and it's probably worth listening to. Yes, so it's been a big week in Doctor Who. We've heard some things really that we didn't really want to hear, but the trailers, the posters, and all that kind of thing, I think the rest of it is actually coming together quite nicely. And whilst Shooty's dress sense is as interesting as ever, he's not going to be around for too much longer for us to have to tolerate it. By all accounts. So yeah, let's know what you think of the whole debacle, the Radio Times debacle, the premiere of Rider Safety. I mean, what do you make of this? I mean, is it simply the fact that we're talking about another sort of empty-headed actor / actress saying the things that they're told, or is it really past the final straw now and characters like this really shouldn't be employed on this show in the first place? Or do you think you're going to go full black pill on it? Do you think that everybody working on in this sector at the moment is just completely consumed with this ideology, and we're going to be lucky if we ever get a word of sense out of any of them ever again? A thorn between two roses, says Peter.
Yeah, but I do have to go, everybody, so night.
Night,
Thank you.
Charlotte.
Thank you again,
Good
Charlotte.
night,
We'll see
Charlotte.
you next week with some more.
See you next week.
The days crunch their ways down. Good night. Thank you, everybody, for your company, and good night to Charlotte there. What else have we got? Yeah, I mean, I suppose.
Well, I'm expecting more anyway, Dan.
More of what, mate?
I'm expecting a few more controversies before the show starts. a few more choice words, let's say. Obviously, whatever's being vetted, it's still, they're still letting a lot of stuff go through. So, yeah.
They clearly haven't got the message. They haven't got the message, Matt, that woke it's bleeding out before our very eyes. Everywhere else is giving up on it, giving up on the performative DEI, on the silly buzzwords, on the ridiculous goals, on the division. let's hope somehow the message gets through to the BBC at some point, and I don't know, maybe Doctor Who could be dragged out from under the weight of it all. I'm very impressed, though, I'm happy to say, with the trailers and the posters. So as a way of sort of washing all of that from our mouths, take a look at this. Here's the latest trailer once again.
I've been here before, and I met something. I've never been so scared in my life. Our entire reality is in danger.
Do you think you could stop it?
They cannot. No one can.
Run! Run! What are you?
Oh, he was crying. Shocker.
We finally got some tears, Simon. We finally got some tears.
We can.
But now, I really do love this poster. I think they've done a cracking job with that, and I love the strapline as well. So we had "Get Her Home" on the first one, and now it's "One Hell of a Journey Home." So sticking with that idea, that really quite simple mission statement, which is, in my view, it's sort of back to basics, good Doctor Who fare, something that anybody can relate to. If you've got a kid who maybe has never seen this show, and they could be coming aboard with Belinda, I think that simple sort of idea that they've got to get this girl home, I think that could get a lot of people, in theory, on board. But whether they stay on board, that's another question, isn't it? Yes, it is. Okay, yes, so that's Doctor Who back on April the 12th, 6:50 on BBC One, for everybody, a traditionalist who wants to watch it with their tea, with some beans on toast or cheese on toast or something on toast. Or if you want to watch it with your breakfast, of course, it'll be on 8 a.m. on the iPlayer. Those outside of the UK can watch on Disney Plus, where available simultaneously. It starts at 3 a.m. Eastern Time in America. That's 12 a.m. Pacific Time. And each further episode will be dropping on subsequent Saturdays. Type 40 will be watching, so make sure you're subscribed and you're notified. Okay, what next? Who next? But this.
That's running on a.
That's one to answer for.
That's running on a. That's running on a loop on Dan's screen.
We get a bit of mileage out of that yet, and there's more to come as well. We've been sent even more. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, and for indulging our long form discussion on this matter as well. The matter that the entirety of fandom has been talking about all week for one reason or another, and of course that premiere in London at the weekend. Oh my God. Dan's talking sense, says Andrew. Well, I can't promise it'll happen again, but if you stick around, it might happen again. I don't know. It's got to be worth the subscription for, hasn't it, Andrew? Thank you for watching. Nice, says Garbage. I would rather watch the Twin Dilemma on continuous loop. Matthew V is not a fan of the gorgeous Verada.
Not rather than that Verada clip.
Ding dong, says Stephen Braddock. Maybe she's Sutek's college roommate. Oh, that's from you, Gary.
Somebody was pondering in the chat like how she was going to tie into Sutek, and I thought, well, maybe she'll turn out to be Sutek's college roommate.
This is Gatwer's best work, and it's mid, says Sonny Waffles. I've still not seen him in anything else, so I can't say as to what's his best work and what isn't.
It does seem like they're trying to ramp up the scares, though.
Best work.
I mean,
we can do our bit to raise the standards one way or another here at Type 40 Live, as always. So, Gary, what were you going to say, mate?
No, I was sorry. I was just going to say it does seem like they're making a conscious effort to ramp up the scares. I really love that trailer.
I think all the trailers
are having nightmares about the boogeyman.
Yeah, I think this is the thing that kind of maybe they are trying to sort of ramp up the scares, Gary. But I just think, I think back to series 1, and I still think you can make anything look good in a trailer. So
you're right. I agree.
It's just I don't know. It's not.
If they want to look back to
round.
scares, if they want to bring back scares, Simon, they need only look to one man for inspiration and his output when he was working on Doctor Who. I'm talking, of course, about the great Matt Pott. But also, secondarily, I'm talking about the writer and script editor, Robert Holmes, who, if he was still with us, would be marking his 99th birthday this very day.
Yeah, and very, very happy birthday to Robert Holmes, wherever he is.
If they could just channel a bit, just a little of the way that Robert Holmes had to blend the horrific, the scary, and that sort of the humour, that specific line of humour that he had, in a way that he could lace humour through his stories without undermining them in any way. If they could just touch a little of that greatness, then we may be on to something that could be the tallest of orders. But we wanted to doff our caps to the great Robert Holmes on this edition of the show. So yeah, here it is again, everybody.
You were gone before we could tell you were number one. Number one. Sliding in a cloud of tobacco smoke. Kids TV with a dirty joke. You called it hope and pulp and fluff, but it rang with the truth of waiter stuff. You were gone. Never gotta tell you were number one. Number one. Cranking it out at a rapid pace. Every world felt like a real place. Your brain and your pen might have taken you high, but fate marked you for the cheap sci-fi. You were gone. We never gotta tell you were number one. Number one. You were gone. We never gotta tell you were number one. Number one. Zapping in a cloud of tobacco smoke. Kids TV with a dirty joke. You called it hope and pulp and fluff, but it rang with the truth of waiter stuff. You were gone. Never gotta tell you were number one. Number one. You were gone. Never gotta tell you were number one. Number one. Number one.
Yes, doffing our collective headgear to the late, great, the master, Robert Holmes. Of course, how could we not on what would have been his 99th birthday, right, boss?
Yeah, never bettered. Seriously, never bettered. Just very, very best writer.
What do you think? I mean, what do you think it is about Robert Holmes? You know, it's how many years? 1986, he died.
Yeah,
all this time on, and again, Doctor Who, just as it is sort of now, really, sort of stumbling, staggering. It was staggering then. I think
it was staggering,
it is, just as the song says.
And it's interesting because I remember at the time, sadly, that he died, the rumours were that he would be taking over as producer from John Nathan Turner. Because John Nathan Turner had been wanting to step down for so long. And those are the rumours that were kicking around at the time. I remember it was talked about that Robert Holmes was the likely candidate to finally take over, and then sadly, it was at that exact time that he sadly passed away. And it's just impossible to sort of define what is it that he's just so perfect about Robert Holmes' scripts. He seemed to understand Doctor Who better than anybody, and yet it's impossible to actually look at those scripts and work out what is it, because he did it so well and so deftly. It's impossible to work out what it was that he was doing right.
I think he concentrated mostly on the story itself, and then the characters that were put.
The story
in
always came first. You're
was
right,
like,
Matt.
yeah, and it was like, how do the stories, how do the characters interact in this story? And I don't know. I honestly can see any of his episodes, any of the stories that he's done, and I can just be really, really focused on the story, and it's the acting and everything that helps bring it to life, you know?
I think
it's just like it says in the song. Everything felt like a real place. Without even the stories, even stuff like the mysterious planet.
I think part of the thing is with Bob Holmes, of course, is he was coming from a perspective that he just, as he used to say, he just wanted to scare the kids. That was his whole ethos, was just scare the kids. And he did it with his hands rubbed together in glee. And so it wasn't scare the kids from it. He wasn't talking about it from a sadistic point of view. He was talking about it from a fun point of view, because he knew that that's what the kids wanted. The kids just wanted to be scared, and they would enjoy it. And that's what we seem to have lost in recent years, is that idea that you can scare kids. It is healthy to scare kids as long as you do it in a careful and a controlled way, and it's like you were saying earlier, Dan. It's all Doctor Who is all about change, except it isn't. It shouldn't be, because it should be about what made Doctor Who work in the first place, and that was being scary. That was the point of it. It was meant to be a scary show, like Scooby-Doo. That's how it's meant to be, and Bob Holmes understood that.
Well, I think the wondrous thing for me about Robert Holmes, whether by accident or design, I think that he had more to do with constructing the mythology of the show than any other writers. I mean, you look at a list of his stories, which included like Spearhead from Space, launching the basic, kind of soft reboot of the show. You have Terror of the Autons, introducing Joe and the Master and the Unit family again. He introduced Sarah Jane Smith and the Time Warrior, Deadly Assassin, doing what he did for the Time Lords, the Talents of Wang Chiang, which is like an iconic Tom Baker story, Reboss Operation, which began the Key to Time saga, Caves of Androzani, which most people consider one of the best Doctor Who stories ever. So I don't know whether it was just an accident of being assigned those stories, but whatever the reason, he took it and shaped the mythology of the show like no other writer.
And let's not forget, he invented Gallifrey. He literally came up with Gallifrey.
He invented so much. And I also want to just give a quick nod as well to Gareth Roberts, the man behind that incredible tribute song there to the late, great Robert Holmes. We played it several times, and we're going to keep on playing it, Gareth. But he wrote it, arranged it, and I just think it's absolutely brilliant. A superb tribute, a playful tribute, I think, that Robert Holmes may have been slightly embarrassed by, but perhaps he'd find it amusing as well. I don't know. So if you want to thank somebody, don't thank us. Go and thank Gareth Roberts over there on X and tell him that Type 40 sent you by all means.
Go on then.
You're watching Type 40.
Yes, we're flying the flag for the talent, dedication, and boundless creativity that exists out here in the Doctor Who fandom. It's second to none, and so there's never any shortage of pretty pictures to distract us from the duller every day as we scroll through our pudding-brained lives. At Type 40 Live, we've always done what we can to encourage and showcase Doctor Who fan art and fan artists in this our virtual gallery, and it's all in a valiant, probably a completely in vain quest to fill up these virtual TARDIS walls with jaw droppers, be they traditional or digital. Could be from model makers or cosplayers. We don't care as long as it's pretty and it will cover up a bit of this bloody horrible grey wall. Check it out. Oh dear, we're so greedy. They're very big walls, and we've got some belters to offer you this time. Now, I really like this sort of trend that for photography of action figures, and sort of using it to either recreate scenes from actual stories or to imagine them in environments and situations that we never saw them in on the show. But in some instances, they can also enhance stories that we love or moments that we liked by offering us sort of extensions there of them, or showing us versions of stories that may exist in our heads. Who Photography in particular over on X is brilliant at that, using character options figures, I'm pretty sure, to create this incredible action sequence here between multiple Daleks, including a special weapons Dalek, all really going at it there. I'm not sure where they are, Gary. It looks like a disused industrial estate. But I just thought this was brilliant when I saw it. It really leapt off the screen.
I mean, yeah, the explosion, the raise, you got the special weapons Dalek there. Yeah, fantastic.
It's great. It is. It's absolutely fantastic. That is. I'm trying to work out. So obviously there's some CGI work going on there with the death rays. I'm assuming maybe as well with the explosions. But either way, it's fantastic. Very, very clever. And you say these are character options Daleks?
It looks that way to me.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I can see that because, definitely, because for some reason, that Dalek on the left, I just noticed that he's got a bent plunger. And it's just, I don't know if you can notice it, but it's a little bit erect.
It's slightly curved,
it looks really weird. Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, I think I've got one like that as well. Absolutely brilliant.
It looks great, yeah.
We've got some comments here as always. Is there a face in that explosion? Asks Robert Payne. I think if you've been in
there
a particular
is.
kind of,
I see what he's saying. I see what Robert's saying. Yeah, just
I thought
down
he'd been
in the bottom. Yeah, to the immediate right of the first grey Dalek. There's a face looking down. There's two eyes and a nose looking down. I'm sure it isn't. I'm sure it's
it's a skull. I think it's meant to be a skull. Someone has been exterminated. I thought you'd been at the shrooms then for a minute, Robert. I thought, what's he saying? What's going on?
No, I can see it.
Stephen Braddock says those are character options. I thought it was a painting at first. Fantastic picture. Simon Ashley likes it too. Wow, they are Eagle Moss models. Wonderful, says Peter Harrington. I mean, maybe there's a few different models from different companies in the mix. I don't know, but to me they look like character ones. Particularly now you've said about the bendiness, Matt, because the Eagle Moss ones wouldn't bend. They definitely.
I hate it when you get an action figure and you pull it out and it's a bit bent. I'm gonna get the hairdryer out and give it a bit of heat.
Those Daleks look so cool. They should bring these back. Says
they should. I always loved the white and gold Daleks.
So do I. 1988's remembrance of the Daleks, of course. They've got that kind of cheap wobbly look, haven't they? Which I also enjoy that. Autumn leaves falling as well, and next to lime green extermination effect shooting from the special weapons Dalek as it lays, cuts up the two.
They push over very easily, don't they, Daleks?
They do, don't they? They do. Yeah, it looks like a disappointed Peter Capaldi, says Robert. But he's back to that face again. He's still on the face. Look at the rest of it, Robert. Look at the rest. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, so I really like that. And this account, Who Photography, lots of stuff coming out of that account every week. Really sort of wholesome stuff. Even things like this where he's wreaking some sort of disaster and people are getting exterminated. There's still sort of cuteness about it. And of course, it's all beautifully lit as well and enhanced digitally. So there's a combination of various skills here. And I think this account is well worth a follow. I also like this a lot as well. A portrait of Leela as seen in a story which I've never had any real time for. But there she is. In fact, I think there's several elements from several stories. I do beg your pardon. I was looking at the Underworld connection.
There are. There's the Sunmakers there, top right, just behind.
Well, you got the Fendal skull.
Yeah, there's few.
Fendal
The
skull.
skull.
The ship from the Invisible Enemy.
pentagram.
This is the work of Kellogg, which is it's a sort of digital creation there with lots of different elements. But it's not often you see an image like this, which is in profile. And I think that's what made it stand out to me.
It is. It is. It's quite arresting, isn't it? I love that. I absolutely love it because I can see that just by her hand there is the little spaceship, the shuttlecraft from the Invisible Enemy, and there's the Baal Foundation just over her shoulder, again from the Invisible Enemy. There's just so much in that. I just love that.
A feast for the eyes. Isn't this her outfit from the horror of Fang Rock? Asks Fly Pilot.
It is. It is indeed. Oh, and I've just spotted there's all the cogs from the Invasion of Time at the top right of the image as well. Just ghostly images of the cogs.
Beautiful, says Peter Harrington. Invasion of the Time set, says Matthew V.
Oh, I see the Suntaran. Do you see the Suntaran?
Where?
No, where's the
just
Suntaran?
below the wand, just below a dagger. Just see him sitting on the planet, on that planet.
Oh, yeah, got him.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the work of Kellogg on X and on Instagram as well. Go and find Kellogg with a fabulous Sea Devil logo there in the top corner. But yeah, this really did stop me in my tracks. Again, it's the profile shot, it's the choice of colours, and yeah, I'm looking at it now, and there's lots of elements that I hadn't seen before. So yeah, it's great stuff, and a nice tribute to a seminal Doctor Who character, I suppose, one that was a huge part of childhoods and yeah, those second childhoods as well. But a lot of the dads watching. Wow, says Simon Ashley. Fly Highland has just finished watching Leela's Era, so this is time just right, isn't it? Matthew V says the Sunmakers is amazing. What's wrong, Dan? Watch it again and enjoy. It's boring. It's flat, it's boring, and the production values are threadbare, and some of the acting is rather mediocre. That's
it's got the guy from Words and Pictures in it.
Another reason not to like it. He's
and it's
terrible.
got It's got Villa.
It is
I
fair
love
point.
him.
The
He's
production
awesome.
values are poor. It does have to be said.
Let's put it this way, I don't dread watching it. I don't dread watching it like I do Underworld. But I don't rate
tough watch.
It's definitely no Delta and the Bannerman, is it?
Nowhere near as good as Delta and the Bannerman or others that make up the average top 10 now.
Praise the company.
That looks like Leela's face, says Robert Payne. Yeah, you got yes, you got it right this time, mate. You got it right this time. Yeah, so yes, a fabulous tribute to an excellent companion, so fondly remembered and played by a genuine Doctor Who legend there, Louise Jameson. The work of Kellogg. Go and find them on X and Instagram and tell them the Type 40 sent you by all means. And next up, more companions, I think. More companions. So last week we were served this poster, if you remember, with the mission statement to get her home. That's Belinda with the Doctor. The Doctor's pointing the way back home to Earth. Belinda's looking on with her hands behind her back. She doesn't look too convinced that he can get her home, does she? But again, I thought this was an arresting image. I think most of us on the panel seem to like this. But within, I'd say, an hour of it dropping, the spoof posters, the parody posters, they started coming thick and fast. Far too many to show. But I think the one that really did stand out for me, that connected back to the classic fan in me, and that kind of what I was speaking about earlier on, really, of the baseline settings of Doctor Who, I had to go for this one with Ian and Barbara and the first Doctor. And the finishing touch for me, Simon, had to be to drop in that original Doctor Who logo with the BBC globe as well.
Yeah, that is just utterly beautiful. I adore
in sepia,
that.
Not black and white, in sepia.
Just gorgeous. That is, and as you say, Dan, the original BBC logo down the bottom there. Oh, it's just so atmospheric, isn't it? That just magnificent.
Sad of what we've lost, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. It does kind of make you a little bit teary, doesn't it, for what we've lost? Because that to me is what Doctor Who is about. It's perfect.
Barbara does look somewhat mournful. I mean, it'd be difficult. It's difficult to get the characters sort of full body pictures of these characters anyway. That's hard enough to come by. But they position them really beautifully, and I like the fuzziness to it as well. As if you could be watching it on an old TV as well, Matt. It just, it's got that glow.
Yeah. It's so hard to watch things on an old TV now. It's just, I'd still do that. I'd still watch it on black and white TV.
Alien to a lot of us.
Yeah.
I would have that on my wall, says Simon Ashley.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just looks it looks so natural. It looks so unposed, unlike the shooting outward version. It just looks very, very unposed, just very natural and believable.
Yeah, I'd probably change I'd probably change the title behind the shooty one to Get It Off rather than Get Her Off.
Not Get Her Off. No, that's something else.
No, Get It Off.
I don't think he'd be down. I don't think he'd be down for that somehow.
and
Yes,
they even
nice.
have the correct Hartnell TARDIS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully done. This is the work. This is the work of Dave Crowley. Not seen too much by Dave before that I remember, but he is. This was taken from X as well. He's got a few. I think he put about 4 or 5 up different riffs with different characters, such as Tegan with the Fifth Doctor. That was one. And so yeah, if you like that kind of thing, if you like the parody poster, if the new one is a bit too corporate for you, or if you're completely dialed out on anything past 1965 really, then go and hit up Dave. You can download this and let him know that we love his work here too. It looks like it's from The Chase, says Matthew V, because it's got the 2 sons. Was it?
Oh, okay. Can't see the other son.
Okay, I see a great big one.
Yeah, or a great big planet.
Get it on, bang a gong, says Lee Smith. I couldn't agree more. That's guys, you haven't lost it. It's right there, says Vanessa Law.
Yeah, there it is.
Classic, says Lee Smith. And we've got lots more comments like that. Yes, so I think people seem to like this, and I thought it was a lovely way to finish off the gallery this time. That's the work again of Dave Crowley.
And doesn't that logo, just the logo, it's so timeless. I just love that Doctor Who logo there. I'm sure people would judge it as sort of being dated now, but it's just perfect.
There's a simple beauty to a lot of this.
Yeah, you're right,
the old fonts. And when you match it with the BBC logo as well, I mean, I can't stand the current BBC logo, what they've done to it. I mean, you wouldn't think it would be possible to cock up a logo that was so simple already and with such a simple adjustment, but they have managed it. So anybody who ever says, oh, well, why did they pay all that money for these logos? You can see how, if you compare the one that they've got rid of to the current BBC logo, you'll see how much difference just moving a few lines can make to completely drain a logo of its soul.
Mm-hmm.
It works best with Hartnell, suggests Sonny Waffles. I think it works. I mean, I love the original one. I think they've raised their poster game considerably this year. But when I saw this, I don't know, it just made me want to race back and watch, I don't know, the Dalek Invasion of Earth or The Rescue or any Ian and Barbara story. Yeah, because that's their story as well, isn't it? So beautifully told all the way back in 1965 there. So yes, go and hit up Dave and tell him that you love his work. Same with Who Photography and Kellogg. Love that stuff. But I'm afraid we do need some more. The big walls, you see.
I want to, before we go, I want to bring everything full circle. If you've been with us since the beginning of the show, talking about April Fools, I have here the April 1991 Second Dimension, edited by the extraordinarily gifted Simon Horton. And here it is, a year before it came out, Tomb Unearthed, with his imagining, I guess, of what the video cover would be, right, Simon? So there you go.
That was exactly it.
He wasn't fooling kids. There you go.
And the cover that we came up with wasn't a million miles away from what the ultimate cover was. And what year was that?
This is April 1991.
91. There we go.
It came out in 93, didn't it? Eventually.
92.
For all you McCoy lovers, here's the back.
Something like that.
This magazine had extraordinary front and back covers.
Yeah, all thanks to a lot of it thanks to Andy Lambert, the very talented artist that used to just turn out just incredible works of art in about 10 minutes flat. I would just phone him up and say what I wanted, and it would arrive pretty much the next morning. It was just incredible.
And
Happy days.
Speaking of Leela, Here's another one, last one for
There we
Leela.
go.
All you Leela fans, look at this one. Can you believe it? Isn't that gorgeous?
That was a beautiful piece of art. Brian Keane, who's still out there. I'm still in touch with Brian Keane, and he's still got the original of that, the original pencil. It's all done in pencils. That was Gary, all done in pencils.
A blood red.
Yeah.
Great stuff. I had to find that before the show was over. So.
Oh, you're very kind, Gary. Happy days. Walk down memory lane. Thank you.
Outstanding, says Lord Thoth. Lord Thoth is outstanding, one of our outstanding moderators here at Type 40. Thank you so much to all of you, to Lord Thoth, to Vanessa, to PD, Rich, and to Problem Being, and everybody else who moderates for us here on the channel. We do appreciate you. What else is here? Those look cool. It's a Sunny Waffles. So that's something that Sunny Waffles is pleased about.
They were cool, Sunny Waffles. They were very cool.
A tall order. We want more fan art. Of course we do. Let's get it up on these walls to just run it all up a little bit, because quite clearly he's not going to, is he? Send it our way or us its way. That's how it works. We don't really care how it works as long as it works. We get the art up on the walls. You can reach out to us through our social media, everybody, just like Shooty has, Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who. As ever, join us in the Type 40 Facebook group as well. That's a great haven too for fabulous fan art from across the decades, people showing off their fan art, just like Stephen has this very week. So you can join into and show off your artistic side, or showcase your favorite fan artist, if you like, in the Type 40 Facebook group. The Speak Pipe as well, of course, new for 2025. You can get involved with the podcasts and the live streams by dropping us a message over on Speak Pipe. You can record a question, a prediction, any kind of feedback whatsoever. If you want me to try and talk sense, maybe a little bit more, Andrew, you can leave us the feedback there over on Speak Pipe. And all I can say is that I'll do my best. Join us again next time as we get closer, don't we, to the premiere of season 2 of all new Doctor Who. We'll bring some hot takes, cold shoulders, pet peeves, pot shots, and bouquets next time, as ever. Just wonder what on earth one of them will have said by this time next week. I'm somewhat quaking in my boots. There's a whole Radio Times to come, at least, and heaven knows how many other appearances anywhere else. I think we've weathered through this one sort of okay, kind of. So you don't miss it. I mean, here we are. This is how it looks. This is the key art, and we're going to be as all over it as we can. As I think we're into single digits now in that sort of day counter. It's about 9 days away, isn't it, from the season launching? And you'll get it all from us here at Type 40. So get notified, get subscribed, check you're still subscribed, and all of the usual things that we're meant to say. Join us for the very best in news, views, nostalgia, discussion, and banter from 8 p.m. next Monday and Thursday UK time, as always. Cheers again to Charlotte Shields for joining us as she popped off a little earlier on. And my thanks to the rest of the panel as well. To our returning real-life time traveller, Matt Pott. He's been on his holidays, but now he's back. I bet Charlie was very pleased to see you, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. and I got something back from when I come back. I got the Celestial Toymaker unedited. So I'm so happy.
You've got what?
I got the soundtrack. I got the soundtrack, the original soundtrack uncut. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I don't buy those. I think I've got 3 or 4.
No, I don't either. But if the BBC is going to muck with things, then I want the
you need to get the original.
Yep.
Sound advice. Okay, so whether we're going to stay of sound mind and voice and body and spirit between now and when season 2 premieres on April the 12th, heaven only knows. We're going to do our level best. Gary, Simon, thank you too for your company as well. Hope
been a pleasure, as always.
Have a good weekend. And thank you to everybody who's been dropping comments throughout as well. We always have the time, if you have the space, here at Type 40 Live. Of course we do, but we're cranking it and we're off. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Again.